1. Who dares to touch my sister? Aunt, please don't do this. I'm already useless. There's no need for this. In the main hall of the Ye family, Ye Tian tugged at his aunt's sleeve with a wry smile. Tiana, shut up. Ye Shuang turned her head and glanced at Ye Tian, her expression icy. Ye Tian smiled bitterly. Ye Shuang, Ye Tian is crippled and can no longer sit in the position of heir. This is a decision made jointly by the family. The crown prince is the future head of a family. Apart from the clan head, the crown prince can be said to have the highest status. Ye Tian was originally the heir of the Ye family. However, Ye Tian was seriously injured in a battle with the Lu family over a mine, which resulted in the destruction of his awakened bloodline. Ye Tian awakened the highest level bloodline in the history of the Ye family, a fifth-order bloodline. They are also hailed as the future hope of the Ye family, capable of breaking through to the king martial realm and standing among the top families of the great Xia dynasty. Just half a month ago, in order to protect the Ye family's mine, Ye Tian withstood a palm strike from a true martial realm expert from the Lu family, and his bloodline was shattered. Even his cultivation level plummeted, leaving him like an ordinary person, and he fainted on the spot. If it weren't for the Ye family's best efforts to save him, Ye Tian might already be dead. When Ye Tian woke up, the thing he heard most often was, "Ye Tian is finished. He will never become a martial artist in this lifetime. There's nothing we can do. Our bloodline has been shattered, and we can never awaken it again in this lifetime. But he's so pitiful. Those damned Lu family bastards, they actually bullied the weak. Say less, Ye Tian will feel bad if he hears it." Indeed, Ye Tian felt as if his heart was being torn apart every time he heard it. Just now, Ye Tian was informed by his family that he was being stripped of his status as the heir apparent. His aunt, Ye Shuang, absolutely refused to agree, which is why the current situation has occurred. Because once Ye Tian loses his status as the heir apparent, he will be reduced to an ordinary member of the family and will never have the chance to stand up again in his lifetime. There's nothing we can do, we don't have the resources. The family won't waste time on ordinary members. With the prince's title as heir apparent, Ye Tian can still obtain some resources and has a chance to rise again. Inside the main hall, an awkward situation arose because Ye Shuang disagreed. "Ye Shuang, I know you mean well for Ye Tian, and no one in our family wants to see Ye Tian like this, but m.x33xs.com." After a brief pause, the Grand Elder's expression turned serious, and he spoke solemnly. "But we also need to think about the other clansmen. A prince without blood ties is occupying a lot of resources. Who can be convinced?" Ye Shuang opened her mouth, unsure how to refute. "Ye Tian, what do you have to say?" The Grand Elder looked at Ye Tian. Ye Tian was taken aback, then smiled and said, "Whatever." He appeared calm on the surface, even with a smile, but who could know the bitterness in Ye Tian's heart? He also had a dream, to find his father. 16 years ago, her father abandoned her and her younger sister Yi Ling without saying goodbye, and 16 years have passed since then. Ye Tian wanted to find his father and ask him in person why he had abandoned them. Once he loses the title of heir apparent, he will never have another chance. The Grand Elder smiled slightly when he heard Ye Tian say that. "Good boy." Then he looked at Ye Shuang and said with certainty, "That's how it's going to be done." After saying that, he turned and left. The other elders glanced at Ye Tian with a playful look in their eyes, and then turned and left. Ye Shuang stood there, stunned, tears streaming down her face. "Auntie, please don't do this." Ye Tian wiped away Ye Shuang's tears, feeling very sorry for her. Ye Tian and Yi Ling grew up under the care of their aunt, Ye Shuang, and they are very grateful to her. "Tiana, I'm so sorry for your father," sob. After saying that, Ye Shuang could no longer hold back and burst into tears while hugging Ye Tian. Ye Tian patted his aunt's back and sighed inwardly. Is there really no chance? After a long while, Ye Shuang suddenly stood up and said, "I'm going to find the clan leader." After saying that, he left. Ye Tian was taken aback, then smiled bitterly again. Now that things have come to this point, what's the point of going to the clan chief? However, Ye Tian was very grateful. Stepping out of the main hall, Ye Tian looked into the distance, his eyes narrowing slightly, revealing a ferocious expression. Damn the Lu family. Just then, a sob was heard. Don't come any closer, I'll tell my brother. Haha. Ye Tian. Loud laughter rang out. Ye Tian has become a cripple, how can he still protect you? Upon hearing this, Ye Tian's eyes widened in fury, and a surge of anger rushed to his head. You dare touch my sister? You're asking for death. After saying that, he strode away to a spot not far away. Turning the corner, Ye Tian saw Yi Bing, the grandson of the first elder, walking towards his younger sister Yi Ling with a lewd grin on his face. Yi Bing, you're asking for death. Enraged, Ye Tian let out a roar. Yi Bing shuddered and turned around abruptly. Ye Tian. Seeing Ye Tian's ferocious face, Yi Bing was also somewhat frightened. There was no other way. Yi Bing was only 10 years old. Ye Tian is now 16 years old and has been fighting for his family for many years, accumulating a murderous aura that is far beyond what a spoiled brat like him can compare to. Even though Ye Tian was crippled, his killing intent remained. Beside Yi Bing, 2 guards immediately stepped forward to protect him. Ye Tian, young Master Bing, is the grandson of the Grand Elder. The implication is that you've offended the Grand Elder, and you can't afford to suffer the consequences. However, seeing his sister's pained expression and terrified eyes, Ye Tian became even angrier. Dare to touch my sister, I'll kill you. After saying that, he strode towards Yi Bing. Ye Tian ignored the 2 guards. Just as Ye Tian approached, one of the guards suddenly slapped out a golden palm. Ye Tian's expression changed. Vajra palm. This is the yellow rank palm technique of the Yi family, which Ye Tian has also practiced. Ye Tian immediately stretched out his palm, intending to use force to overcome force. But he forgot that he was now a cripple, his injuries hadn't fully healed, and he had no strength left in his body. With a soft pft, the moment their palms clashed, Ye Tian coughed up a mouthful of blood and flew backward. Yi Bing, who was being protected, was startled and snapped out of his daze caused by Ye Tian. Heh. I forgot, you're trash now. As he spoke, he pushed aside the guards in front of him and walked towards Ye Tian. Ye Tian's face became even more ferocious, his heart bleeding. Damn it all. He kept growling and blaming himself. Suddenly, a foot stepped on Ye Tian's head, and Yi Bing leaned down, looking at Ye Tian with a ferocious expression. Useless trash, you really gave me a fright. With a powerful kick of his right foot, Ye Tian felt as if his head was about to explode. Although Yi Bing is only 10 years old, he is already a martial artist at the 5th level of body refinement. Compared to Ye Tian, who was crippled, he was inhumanly strong, with a strength of at least 500 gene. Body refinement is divided into 9 levels, with each breakthrough increasing the level by 100, and for exceptionally talented individuals, the level can exceed 1000 for the 9th level. One can only imagine the torment Ye Tian is currently enduring. Useless trash, can you even protect your sister now? Stepping on Ye Tian's head, Yi Bing revealed a satisfied smile. Wait a minute, I'll pretend I'm serious and let you see your sister moaning. It'll be very interesting, haha. Yi Bing laughed heartily. Upon hearing this, Ye Tian felt a booming sensation in his head, as if something had exploded. Everything in front of him vanished, and even his consciousness began to fade. Kill. 2. Bloodline Rebirth. Having lost his mind, Ye Tian was emanating endless black yuan power, mixed with a strong killing intent, which even seemed to distort the void. A pair of blood-red eyes stared at Yi Bing, making him tremble all over. How is that possible? Yi Bing sensed a powerful killing intent emanating from Ye Tian, and felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. It felt like an invisible hand was gripping my neck, making it hard to even breathe. The two guards beside him were also horrified as they looked at Ye Tian. Ye Tian slowly stood up, his scarlet eyes fixed on Yi Bing, and walked over step by step. Each step seemed to resonate in Yi Bing's heart, causing his heart to tremble. No. You're already crippled. Why are you still standing up? Why aren't you begging for mercy? Why are you looking at me with such murderous intent? Yi Bing gasped for breath and roared with a ferocious expression. Beside him, two guards looked into Ye Tian's eyes and subconsciously took a step back, actually hiding behind Yi Bing. Young Master Bing, hurry, this guy is acting strangely. They were at the Gathering Yuan realm, but they felt immense pressure from Ye Tian. Yi Bing also sensed that something was wrong with Ye Tian and nodded reluctantly. Just as he was about to flee, a pure white, jade-like hand materialized on Ye Tian's body and gently waved it. The next moment, Yi Bing and his two guards were also killed when their bodies exploded, turning into countless blood mists that fell to the ground. Ye Tian looked at Yi Ling, his scarlet eyes making Yi Ling's already terrified face even more unbearable. Ah! A heart-wrenching scream echoed in Ye Tian's mind. Brother! I'm scared. Ye Tian felt a sharp pain in his heart, and his senses began to return. Standing there blankly, Ye Tian was completely bewildered. Looking at the blood mist on the ground, Ye Tian murmured in confusion. What happened? What about Yi Bing? What about the two guards? Brother! I'm so scared. Yi Ling trembled, her petite body shaking, as she looked at her brother in fear. Ye Tian's heart clenched, feeling like it was being pricked with needles. He strode towards Yi Ling, hugged her tightly, and whispered words of comfort. It's all right, it's all right. Ye Tian was filled with self-blame. He shouldn't have let his sister suffer such harm. Looking at my sister's terrified eyes, could it be that something frightening just happened to her? After a long while, Yi Ling stopped trembling, but still dared not look up at Ye Tian. The scene from before was etched in Yi Ling's heart like a nightmare, impossible to shake off. Linger, tell your brother, what just happened? Seeing that Yi Ling seemed to have calmed down, Ye Tian lowered his head and asked. Brother was so scary just now, so scary, so scary. Yi Ling's repeated insistence only deepened Ye Tian's confusion. What did I just do? Could it be that I killed Yi Bing and those two guards? But how could that be? He was already a cripple, and with his injuries not yet healed, he was not even as strong as a first-level body refinement cultivator. How could he possibly kill a martial artist at the Gathering Yuan realm? Looking down at Yi Ling, who was fast asleep with tears in her eyes, I felt a pang of heartache. Don't worry, little sister, with your brother here, no one will dare to touch you. For Ye Tian, Yi Ling is his everything, and he will not allow anyone to hurt her. Picking up Yi Ling, Ye Tian walked towards his residence. No one witnessed Ye Tian killing Yi Bing, because when Yi Bing blocked Yi Ling, he had already driven away the surrounding clansmen and servants. This saved Ye Tian from disaster. Otherwise, if the news had spread, even with his aunt Yi Shuang by his side, it would have been impossible to withstand the Grand Elder's wrath. Sitting in his room, looking at the sleeping Yi Ling, Ye Tian fell into deep thought. What exactly happened to me? Just as Ye Tian was wondering, the surrounding Yuan energy suddenly surged and converged towards him. Within his body, a drop of black blood radiated endless light. The blood vessels that had been shattered and scattered throughout the body all converged in the black blood. The next moment, a powerful aura emanated from Ye Tian. After a long while, when everything had calmed down and Ye Tian's figure was revealed, his expression was very strange. There was excitement, doubt, and fear, and much more. Within his body, a sword-shaped bloodline stands tall in his dantian. In the divine martial continent, bloodline is paramount. Every person has the opportunity to awaken their own bloodline at the age of 6. The higher the bloodline level, the stronger one's potential. Ye Tian previously possessed a 5th-order bloodline, giving him the potential to break through to the King Martial Realm in the future. The King Martial Realm represents the strongest force in the Great Xia dynasty. It can be said that the Yi family's hopes for Ye Tian were correct, and he also has the opportunity to become a top family in the Great Xia dynasty. The original Ye Tian had his bloodline shattered and would never have another chance in his life. However, his bloodline miraculously recovered, but it was much weaker than his previous 5th-tier bloodline, now only a 1st-tier bloodline. But compared to before, this is a very good sign. With his mind focused on his body, Ye Tian looked at his unique sword-shaped bloodline. Previously, his awakened 5th-tier bloodline was silver, but now, it has been restored to black. Even he didn't know why, and was very puzzled. www.x33xs.com. Just then, the sword-shaped bloodline suddenly melted away, turning into a drop of blood that settled in the dantian. That's it. Ye Tian was utterly shocked. To be honest, this drop of blood also puzzled him. Just as he lay on the bed, crippled and dazed, a drop of blood inexplicably appeared in the room and then merged into his body. Afterwards, Ye Tian was also puzzled and kept trying to find out what that drop of blood was, but he found nothing. To his surprise, this drop of blood appeared in his dantian and even helped to reshape his bloodline. Looking inside his eyes at the drop of blood, Ye Tian whispered gratefully, "Thanks." Regardless of where this drop of blood came from, it is undeniable that Ye Tian now has a future, is no longer a waste, and has the capital to cultivate. Even if it's only a 1st-tier bloodline, as long as you cultivate diligently, who says you can't break through the shackles? Suppressing his excitement, Ye Tian sat cross-legged beside Yi Ling's bed and began to cultivate. The Gathering Yuan technique is a mid-level yellow rank cultivation method of the Yi family. It can absorb the Yuan Qi between heaven and earth to enhance one's strength. However, the absorption of vital energy is very slow, far inferior to higher-level cultivation techniques. The martial arts techniques in the divine martial continent are divided into 4 levels and 12 grades: heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. The higher the grade of the technique, the faster it absorbs vital energy and the faster it advances in realm. If only we had a high-level cultivation technique, it might be able to make up for the defects in my bloodline. Ye Tian circulated the Gathering Yuan technique while daydreaming. Just then, the drop of blood glowed, and a thought rushed straight into Ye Tian's mind. The undying Asura technique, devouring heaven and earth, condenses the body of an undying Asura. Ye Tian was shocked and stopped absorbing the vital energy in disbelief. After investigating, Ye Tian's voice trembled slightly. This technique is that powerful? The next moment, he unleashed the undying Asura technique, and the primordial energy of heaven and earth surged towards him, completely engulfing his figure. And his level of skill is also skyrocketing. 3. Body Refinement Level 5. While Ye Tian was cultivating, at the residence of the Grand Elder, where is Binger? Beneath him were the guards of the Yi family. A whole day had passed, and Yi Bing still hadn't shown up, which greatly worried the Grand Elder. Looking at the sky outside, it was already midnight, but Yi Bing had not yet arrived. This gave the Grand Elder a bad feeling, and he was very worried that something might happen to Yi Bing. Elder, we have not found it. The Yi family guards below lowered their heads, not daring to look up at the enraged Elder, their faces filled with terror. Keep looking for me, don't come back if you can't find it. The Elder's face was cold, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Yi Bing was his grandson and his last remaining relative. Once Yi Bing was gone, he would be all alone. Just then, a hunchbacked old man walked in, glanced at the guards who had slunk away, and then came to the Grand Elder's side and bowed respectfully. Master. He is Yi Zheng, the steward of the Grand Elder, and is responsible for handling matters on the Grand Elder's side. How about it? Yi Zheng paused for a moment, then spoke with a solemn expression. Master, there are some bloodstains in the council hall. After examination, this old servant suspects that they are from young Master Bing. The Grand Elder stood there, stunned, his lips trembling, and he whispered in disbelief. How is that possible? He simply couldn't believe that Yi Bing was dead. Master, according to the servants, young Master Bing once drove them away, and his target was Ye Tian's sister, Yi Ling. Yi Zhang glanced at the Grand Elder, unsure whether he should speak up, but considering that Yi Bing might die, he decided to bring it up anyway. Master, young Master Bing has been eyeing Yi Ling all along. I've tried to dissuade him before, but he scolded me and told me to stay out of it. After listening, the elder slumped down in the chair behind him. Binger mentioned before that he wanted me to help him get Yi Ling to serve him, but at that time Ye Tian was the heir apparent and would definitely not agree. With a sigh, the Grand Elder's eyes flashed with murderous intent. But I never expected things to turn out this way. Does the Master suspect that Ye Tian killed young Master Bing? The Elder shook his head. He's already crippled. Even if he were to fight, he wouldn't be a match for Binger. Who is that? Yi Shuang. The Elder's eyes were gloomy as he spoke through gritted teeth, a murderous aura emanating from him. You, Yi Shuang. I only stripped Ye Tian of his title as heir, yet you dared to kill my grandson. This is an irreconcilable feud. The Grand Elder never imagined that it was not Yi Shuang who killed Yi Bing, but Ye Tian. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder's desire for revenge sets the stage for a conspiracy that begins to brew. The next day, as dawn broke, Ye Tian jumped up, feeling refreshed all over. After a night of cultivation, his cultivation level directly reached the 5th level of body refinement. It was still not as high as before, but this was only after just one night of cultivation. He was confident that in just a few more days, he would be able to break through his previous realm and reach the mid-stage of the Gathering Yuan realm. In the path of martial arts, body refinement comes first, which is divided into 9 levels. Then comes the Gathering Yuan realm, which has 5 minor realms: initial, intermediate, advanced, perfect, and peak. Next are the true martial realm, the spirit martial realm, the king martial realm. Ye Tian's current goal is to recover his strength as quickly as possible. Eek. Yi Ling opened her eyes, still a little sleepy. Ye Tian turned around and looked at Yi Ling with a smile on his face. Little sleepyhead, wake up. Brother, you get up so early every day. Yi Ling seemed to have forgotten what happened yesterday, and a smile appeared on her face as she looked at Ye Tian. It's so good to see my brother every morning when I wake up. As she spoke, she jumped off the bed, threw herself into Ye Tian's arms, and said coquettishly, "Brother, I want to eat osmanthus cake." Yi Ling's favorite food is osmanthus cake, which she eats every day. All you do is eat sweets. Be careful you don't get cavities. No, I want to eat osmanthus cake. Okay, I'll go out and buy it in a bit. Yay, brother is the best. Soon, after Yi Ling finished washing up, Ye Tian led her away from the Yi residence. Ye Tian lived in a place called Jincheng, which was under the jurisdiction of the Great Xia dynasty. The Yi family, the Wang family, and the Lu family, the 3 major families, jointly controlled many markets in Jincheng. Besides these 3 major families, the strongest is the city lord. However, the city lord generally doesn't interfere, leaving the 3 major families to control the market. At this moment, Ye Tian and Yi Ling were walking in the Yi family's market. Yi Ling hugged a piece of osmanthus cake and happily munched on it, her eyes even squinting, which was very cute. Looking at his younger sister, Ye Tian smiled warmly. For Yi Ling, her brother was her everything, and for Ye Tian, it was no different. His desire to regain his strength and become stronger stemmed from his wish to protect his younger sister. As the two walked slowly, a pair of eyes were watching them from the shadows. Remember this, when you catch those 2 in a secluded place, you will be rewarded handsomely. Yes, sir. Soon, 2 burly men emerged and headed directly towards Ye Tian and Yi Ling's location. He. Yi Shuang, the first step in dealing with you is to start by targeting the people around you. This man was none other than Yi Zheng, the Grand Elder's steward. The 2 burly men were people Yi Zheng had found, and they were at the 5th level of body refinement. In his view, capturing Ye Tian, whose bloodline had been destroyed and whose injuries had not yet healed, as well as a little girl who had not awakened her bloodline at all, was more than enough. Ye Tian led Yi Ling forward, and at a certain moment, he suddenly felt a pang of heart palpitation. Ye Tian, who has fought for his family for many years, is particularly sensitive to crises. He suddenly turned around and looked behind him. Amidst the diverse crowd, Ye Tian himself couldn't discern the source of the crisis. But soon, the two burly men caught his attention. Because these two guys were very strong, with muscular bodies and calluses on their hands. This was due to years of cultivation, a fact that Ye Tian was able to discern. Most importantly, the two burly men's eyes would frequently drift in his direction, as if they were afraid he would run away. They're after me. Could it be that the Grand Elder sent people because Yi Bing's death has been exposed? Ye Tian sneered. You probably never imagined that I would recover to the 5th level of body refinement overnight. After thinking it over, Ye Tian looked at Yi Ling and said softly, Linger, are you tired? Brother, carry me on your back. Yi Ling is very good at acting cute, and she directly stretched out both hands. Ye Tian smiled, squatted down, and let Yi Ling hug his neck. My little sister has grown up, and her brother can hardly carry her anymore. Ye Tian said this, but his steps were quick as he walked forward. Soon, a deep alley appeared before them, and Ye Tian slipped right in. Brother, what are we doing here? Yi Ling licked the crumbs of osmanthus cake off her fingers and asked in confusion. Promise me, brother, close your eyes. Don't open them unless I call your name. Yi Ling was startled, glanced at Ye Tian, and obediently closed her eyes. But as she closed her eyes, Ye Tian's image from yesterday flashed into her mind, and she shuddered. 4. Decisive and ruthless. Ye Tian stood in front of Yi Ling, bowing his head and waiting. A murderous intent began to spread in his heart. He has never shown mercy to his enemies. www.x33xs.com. This is an experience gained through countless battles over time. When he was competing with the other two major families for the mine, he knew very well that he could not show any mercy to his enemies, or he would be the one to die in the end. It was precisely because of this that he was able to survive, stand out from the crowd, and become the heir of the Yi family. Soon, two burly men appeared at the entrance of the alley, staring at Ye Tian, who had his head down, with murderous intent. Little guy, you run really fast. Ye Tian suddenly looked up at the two of them and said, Who sent you? You don't need to know that. Will you surrender and come with us on your own, or will we break your limbs and take you away? With that, the two entered the alley. Ye Tian's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and his voice was filled with coldness. There is another option, which is... As he spoke, he took a step forward and charged towards the two burly men. That means killing you all. How is that possible? Aren't you crippled? The two burly men were quite surprised to see Ye Tian unleashing such a powerful aura. Ye Tian did not answer. He unleashed the Vajra palm, and his entire palm shimmered with golden light. This is also a martial art that Ye Tian has painstakingly cultivated. With one palm strike, he can split rocks, possessing immense strength and being indestructible. Oh no, this guy wasn't crippled. No, he's crippled, but his injuries have healed. Without time to think, one of the burly men roared and punched Ye Tian. Thunder fist. The punch was delivered with a thunderous roar. It was a mid-level yellow rank fist technique, similar to the Vajra palm. As for which is more powerful, we'll have to see how they fight each other to find out. The next moment, a roar came. Ye Tian took a step back, and the burly man took 3 steps back. The difference in skill is obvious. Ye Tian is clearly superior. However, the other two burly men remained calm. I didn't expect your injuries to heal so quickly, and your cultivation level has already recovered to the 5th level of body refinement. In this world, even those without bloodlines can cultivate, but their breakthrough speed is very slow, and such people make up the majority. Martial artists with a bloodline can absorb more refined energy through the bloodline, making it easier to break through realms and reach higher limits. This is the power of a bloodline warrior, far surpassing that of a warrior without a bloodline. Upon reaching the true martial realm, one's bloodline can manifest in 3 dimensions, unleashing even greater combat power. Before reaching the true martial realm, bloodline has only one function: to condense vital energy and make it more refined. The 2 burly men clearly knew that Ye Tian's bloodline had been destroyed, and naturally assumed that Ye Tian had only recovered physically. In this way, the realm that originally belonged to the previous one will slowly recover. Leaving aside the gathering Yuan realm, the body refining realm is at least not difficult. While the 2 burly men were still pondering, Ye Tian attacked again. It's still the Vajra palm, or rather, Ye Tian only knows the Vajra palm. Kill. Ye Tian remained calm, his eyes fixed only on the 2 burly men. The 2 burly men were also going all out, intending to cripple Ye Tian's limbs and then take him back to complete the mission. Suddenly, a series of thumping sounds echoed through the alley. Yi Zhang slowly walked to the front of the alley, put his hands behind his back, looked at the fierce battle inside, and frowned slightly. His strength has recovered so quickly. He hadn't expected Ye Tian to recover so quickly, reaching the 5th level of body refinement. Although I had practiced before and had experience, it shouldn't have been this fast. In the arena, Ye Tian was completely focused, continuously unleashing his Vajra palm technique. As he fought, his golden palm gradually turned pitch black, a blackness that was unsettling. Suddenly, Ye Tian landed a palm on the shoulder of a burly man. The next moment, with a crack, the strong man's shoulder bone broke and tendons snapped. Ah! A painful roar rang out, and the burly man broke out in a cold sweat. Impossible! How could someone at the 5th level of body refinement have such power? Ye Tian's palm strike just now far exceeded the strength of 500 gene of a 5th level body refinement cultivator. He himself was at the 5th level of body refinement, so he knew what it looked like. In his view, Ye Tian's previous palm strike far exceeded 500 gene, reaching at least 700 gene. From this perspective, could Ye Tian, who is at the 5th level of body refinement, be comparable to someone at the 7th level of body refinement? Where did this freak come from? His strength actually increased after his bloodline was destroyed. Although Ye Tian was puzzled, he was also pleasantly surprised. He had subconsciously used the power of that drop of blood before, but he never expected it to bring him such a big surprise. One palm strike can weigh no less than 700 gene. Die! Ye Tian shouted and slapped the injured strong man on the head. If that had hit them, they would have been torn to pieces. Help me! In a panic, he immediately asked his companions for help. But that guy was also stunned by Ye Tian's strength. His calves were cramping, and he couldn't even run away. Ye Tian struck down with his palm, and with a soft thud, Ye Tian's head was smashed to pieces, turning into a bloody mist that splattered all over him. Without pausing, Ye Tian turned to look at another burly man, his face full of murderous intent, which, combined with the blood all over his body, was quite terrifying. No! Don't kill me! Although the burly man was at the 5th level of body refinement, he was terrified by Ye Tian and kept begging for mercy. Ye Tian wasn't about to let him get away with it. He strode over and kicked out with a sudden kick. The next moment, the burly man fell to the ground. Without hesitation, Ye Tian stomped down on the other person's head. He showed no mercy to his enemies and would eliminate them completely to prevent future troubles. After killing 2 people at the 5th level of body refinement, Ye Tian took a deep breath and looked out of the alley. In an instant, Yi Zheng's figure appeared in his eyes. Yi Zheng. Ye Tian showed little surprise, as if he had already guessed it. Young Master Ye Tian, I never imagined you were hiding your true abilities so well. Ye Tian's eyes flickered slightly as he looked at Yi Zheng and said coldly, You were the one who orchestrated this behind the scenes. His words carried a firm conviction. Yi Zheng nodded, and a murderous aura began to erupt from his body. It seems that if I want to capture you, this old servant will have to do it myself. Wait a moment. Ye Tian spoke with a solemn expression. Yi Zheng is a late-stage gathering Yuan realm cultivator with formidable strength. Even before his bloodline was shattered, he was no match for his opponent. Ye Tian wanted to see if he could persuade the other party to let his sister go. Young Master Ye Tian, there's no need to beg for mercy. Before Ye Tian could say anything more, Yi Zhang coldly continued. This old servant arrested you on the orders of the Grand Elder. No matter what you say, you and your brother have no chance to escape. In an instant, Ye Tian knew things were in trouble. Ye Tian glanced at his younger sister behind him and composed himself. No matter what, I must protect my sister and never let anyone harm her in the slightest. His gaze hardened, and an aura of fearlessness in the face of death emanated from him. He was willing to fight his way out for his sister. Just as Ye Tian was about to fight desperately, a flippant voice came from behind him. Oh, is this fratricide? 5. Iron Sheet. Oh, is this fratricide? Yi Zhang was startled and looked up. Even Ye Tian was taken aback and looked up at the alley. A man carrying a knife on his back was smiling as he looked at the two of them. Wang Zhua. Yi Zhang exclaimed in surprise. That's right, it was Wang Zhua who arrived, and he was also Ye Tian's aunt suitor. Despite the feud between the Wang and Yi families, it doesn't diminish Aunt Ye Tian's charm. Furthermore, Wang Zhua often prevents the Wang family members from dealing with the Yi family, all in order to curry favor with Ye Tian's aunt, Yi Shuang. Ye Tian hadn't expected the other party to appear here. Wang Zhua jumped down and came to Ye Tian's side. How is your aunt? As he spoke, a smile appeared on his face, a smile of affection extended to everything connected to the beloved. Fine. Knowing perfectly well what Wang Zhua was thinking, Ye Tian casually brushed it off. Wang Zhua, you dare to interfere in the affairs of my Yi family? Aren't you afraid that the Grand Elder will cause you trouble? Wang Zhua turned around and looked at Yi Zhangdao with a big smile. I am a member of the Wang family. How can your Yi family's Grand Elder have the authority to govern me? Before Yi Zhang could reply, Wang Zhua's expression grew cold. Old man, get out of here. With me here you can't touch Ye Tian. You. Yi Zhang pointed at Wang Zhua, his anger palpable. But he was at a loss, since Wang Zhua was a true martial realm cultivator and he was no match for him. Humph, just wait, this matter won't be left like this. After Yi Zhang left, Ye Tian looked at Wang Zhua and gratefully clasped his hands in a fist salute. Thank you. Wang Zhua turned his head, a smile on his face, rubbed his hands together, and looked at Ye Tian Dao with some embarrassment. I've come to see you. You should know what I want to do, right? Ye Tian felt somewhat helpless. This guy is looking for me simply because he wants to see my aunt through me. This wasn't the first or second time this had happened, and Ye Tian had refused each time. But this time, the other party saved my life, and I would feel guilty if I didn't satisfy them. I can help you, but I can't guarantee whether your aunt will see you. Knowing his aunt's personality, Ye Tian knew she definitely wouldn't see Wang Zhua. Because the two sides belong to different camps, and they also have conflicts over the mineral vein. This is why Wang Zhua kept pursuing his aunt, but she completely ignored him. Wang Zhua knew this in his heart, but he still wanted to give it a try. After all, his years of pursuit might just win Yi Shuang over. Ye Tian clasped his hands in a fist salute to Wang Zhua, who nodded slightly in return. With a light step, Wang Zhua vanished as if leaping across rooftops. Looking at Wang Zhua's retreating figure, Ye Tian was filled with envy. This guy, like his aunt, is at the early stage of the spirit martial realm. Shaking his head, Ye Tian felt that he would not be inferior to the other party in the future, and would be able to reach the other party's level, and then entered the alley. Looking at Yi Ling, who was clutching her head, eyes tightly closed, and trembling slightly with her small body, he smiled with relief. Thankfully, I'm here, and my sister is here too. That's really good. But thinking about the crisis that would come later, Ye Tian frowned deeply. The Grand Elder is a powerful martial artist in the late stage of the spirit martial realm. With my current strength, I have no way to fight against him. Not to mention the Grand Elder, even Yi Zhang himself couldn't do anything about it. It seems I must recover my strength as soon as possible, Otherwise, with my mere body refinement realm strength, I'll have trouble even surviving, let alone protecting my sister. Little sister, it's okay now, open your eyes. Ye Tian said softly. Yi Ling looked up and tears streamed down her face the moment she saw Ye Tian. Brother, I'm so glad you're all right. After saying that, she hugged Ye Tian's neck and refused to let go. Ye Tian patted Yi Ling's back to comfort her. Don't worry, your brother hasn't seen you get married yet. Nothing will happen. No, Linga will never get married. She will stay with her brother forever. Ye Tian was gratified, but also reluctant to part with her. One day, my younger sister will find someone she loves and eventually leave me. All I can do is protect her and make sure she doesn't suffer any injustice. 33novel.com. After a long while, Ye Tian patted Yi Ling on the back. All right, we've been out long enough, it's time to go back. Yi Ling reluctantly left Ye Tian's embrace, opened her arms, and said coquettishly, Brother, carry me. Ye Tian was helpless, but what could he do? This was his sister. Turning around, Ye Tian smiled and said, Come on up. Yi Ling happily wrapped her arms around Ye Tian's neck from behind and leaned against his back. Let's go, take off. As Ye Tian spoke, he stood up and walked out of the alley. As Ye Tian was carrying his younger sister back to the Yi residence, he passed a stall, and the drop of blood in his dantian suddenly trembled, causing him to stop. What's going on? Ye Tian frowned slightly and looked inward at his dantian. At that moment, the drop of blood began to glow, and then it transformed into the shape of a piece of iron. This made Ye Tian's eyes flicker slightly. Could it be that this drop of blood was telling him something? His gaze shifted, and Ye Tian was startled to see an identical piece of iron on a nearby stall. Could it be that? With a guess in mind, Ye Tian squatted down without making a sound and looked at each item. Young Master Yi, these are all things I dug out from the Burial King Valley. Each one is an antique, and you might find something good. Burial Valley is a mountain not far from Jincheng. Legend has it that 100 years ago, many King Martial Realm cultivators fought a great battle here, burying many powerful King Martial Realm warriors. The relics of these martial artists at the King Martial Realm were buried here. Over the past 100 years, martial artists have continuously gone there, hoping to try their luck, but in the end, they all came up empty-handed. Of course, some good things have been unearthed there before. For example, the Zhong family of Yunqing once obtained a mid-level Shen rank cultivation technique. This has fueled the fervor of many martial artists, who frequently venture into the Burial King Valley in hopes of digging for treasure, though they rarely manage to find anything. Some martial artists speculate that there may have been survivors from the great battle that year who took all the treasures with them. As for that Shen rank cultivation technique, it was just that the Zhong family was lucky. Ye Tian looked at the dark-skinned stall owner and said sarcastically, The Valley of the Burial King? Is there anything there? The dark-skinned stall owner looked embarrassed, but he still believed that the item was dug out of the Burial King Valley. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Ye Tian glanced at the black iron piece, then grabbed it along with everything else in his hand. Let me give it a try. How much silver do these things cost? The dark-skinned stall owner was overjoyed to see Ye Tian grab a large handful. Young Master Yi is so generous. Since that's the case, here are so many antiques, I'll just give you 100 taels. Ye Tian was taken aback and immediately put down what he was holding. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? 100 taels? Why don't you just rob me? Young Master Yi, these are all antiques from the Burial King Valley. 100 taels is not too much. Forget it, you can keep it yourself. You might even find a heaven-rank cultivation technique inside. With that, Ye Tian got up to leave. The dark-skinned stall owner was getting anxious. He had finally gotten a customer, and he couldn't let him go, especially since it was such a generous customer as Yi Shitzi. Young Master Yi, name your price. 6. Once out of power, one's life is worse than that of a dog. Young Master Yi, please name your price. The dark-skinned stall owner gritted his teeth. These things were indeed dug out of the Valley of the Burial King, but he had investigated them himself and found nothing of value, so he put them out to sell. Ye Tian pondered for a moment, just as he was about to speak, when a mocking voice came from behind him. "Oh, isn't this the young Master Yi from our Yi family?" Ye Tian turned his head and saw 3 teenagers walking towards him, their faces full of mocking smiles. Yi Jun. Leading the group was the commander of Yi family army, who had once been under his command and obeyed his orders. However, after his bloodline was destroyed, this guy took over and became the commander of the Yi family army. Moreover, this guy was never convinced of my abilities. After my bloodline was destroyed, he not only didn't comfort me, but also mocked me. Humph, this is what happens when you show off. Ye Tian clearly remembered that day when he took a direct hit from a true martial realm cultivator from the Liu family and coughed up blood. That's when Yi Jun said those words. Moreover, they looked down at themselves from a high position, displaying an arrogant and superior attitude. Unexpectedly, I met the other party in the Yi family's market. However, Ye Tian quickly realized what was happening. When they have free time, Yi Jun will come to the market to protect its safety. Besides, Yi Jun is now a commander, so he doesn't need to stay at the mine all the time. Ye Tian glanced at Yi Jun, ignored him, and looked down at the dark-skinned stall owner. 20 taels, sell it or leave it. Before the dark-skinned stall owner could speak, Yi Jun's expression changed. Ye Tian, how dare you ignore this commander? Ye Tian had no intention of paying any attention to such annoying flies. Most importantly, I've only recovered to the 5th level of body refinement, and I'm no match for this guy. If we were to fight, I would be at a disadvantage, and it might even put my sister in danger. But at that moment, Yi Jun kicked out with a ferocious expression, aiming straight for Ye Tian's back. Humph, daring to disregard this commander, you're asking for trouble. Ye Tian felt a chill run down his spine, sensing danger. He grabbed Yi Ling and rolled away to avoid Yi Jun's kick. Bang! Yi Jun stomped his foot on the ground, creating a deep crater and causing the soil to explode. Useless trash, you dare to hide. Yi Jun looked at Ye Tian, his expression even more furious. Ye Tian, holding Yi Ling, glared angrily at Yi Jun and said ferociously, "Yi Jun, this is Yi family market. Aren't you afraid the clan leader will cause you trouble?" Left with no other choice, Ye Tian had to invoke the clan leader's name. If it weren't for his inferior strength and his sister's presence, Ye Tian would have taught Yi Jun a lesson on the spot. Snort. Yi Jun snorted coldly and immediately spoke. "Do you think the clan leader would punish me, the commander of the Yi family army, for a piece of trash like you?" Ye Tian's face darkened further, his eyes fixed on Yi Jun as if he was spitting fire. Suddenly, Ye Tian roared. "Yi Jun, the Yi family gathering is in 10 days. Do you dare to step onto the life or death arena then? Ha ha." Upon hearing this, Yi Jun burst into laughter. "Useless trash, you should consider your own situation before begging for mercy. Even if you were given a lifetime, you would never be a match for this commander. You don't dare." Ye Tian had no other choice but to come up with this method. "If I give myself 10 days, no 5 days, I can recover my strength. At that time, Yi Jun will be nothing to fear." Humph, there's nothing to be afraid of. Since that's the case, then I'll let you live for 10 days. Then, in front of all the clansmen, I'll let everyone know who the current king of the younger generation of the Yi family is. Ye Tian didn't utter any harsh words. He turned around and looked at the terrified, dark-skinned stall owner. He threw down 20 taels of silver, grabbed a pile of antiques, and strode away with Yi Ling in his arms. Watching Ye Tian's retreating figure, Yi Jun's face was full of sneers. "Useless trash, we'll see how you die in 10 days. Brother Jun, haven't we gone a bit too far?" A young man from Yi family army spoke up from the side. "Humph, there's no question of whether it's passed or not. It's all a family decision." "Why? Do you really think Ye Tian was crippled so easily? It was all premeditated. The two boys frowned. Ye Tian was a good person, and as a leader, he always took the lead. Many members of the Ye family respected him. The Lu family broke the agreement back then, yet they encountered no trouble afterward. It turns out it was premeditated. Ye Tian didn't say anything on the surface, but he also had doubts in his heart. But he truly couldn't believe his own guess. After all, they were all from the same lineage. How could this be? www.x33xs.com. Brother, are you really going to have a life-or-death duel with that awful guy? Yi Ling, nestled in Ye Tian's arms, was filled with worry, her eyes brimming with tears. Don't worry, trust your brother. But if something happens to my brother, I won't have a brother anymore. Brother will be fine. Brother still wants to see you get married. I'm not getting married. I want to stay with my brother for the rest of my life. Sure enough, Yi Ling's attention was diverted, and she hugged Ye Tian's neck even tighter, as if she was afraid of losing him. Brother, why can't I cultivate? After a long while, Yi Ling raised her head and looked at Ye Tian, asking in confusion. Because all the younger sister needs to do is be beautiful. And as for those who dare to bully her, we'll leave them to the older brother. I also want to cultivate and then protect my brother. Upon hearing this, Ye Tian couldn't help but tighten his grip on Yi Ling's hand. How fortunate I am to have such a sister. Don't worry, little sister. Even if the sky falls, your brother can hold it up and won't let you get hurt. Whispering to himself, Ye Tian quickened his pace as he saw the Yi residence in sight and headed straight for it. When Ye Tian arrived at his residence, he saw the Yi family's servants moving things around. What are you doing? Ye Tian strode over and shouted angrily. Just then, Yi Zheng appeared in their sight, his face full of smiles. Young Master Yi, you have been stripped of your title as heir and are not worthy to live in this luxurious mansion. That's right. This house is where the young master lives, and it was specially built by the Yi family to highlight the young master's status. However, it is understandable that Ye Tian would be driven away now that his identity has been taken away. Ye Tian clenched his fists, and veins bulged on his forehead. After a long while, Ye Tian closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said calmly, I want my things back. Yes, they're all here. Yi Zheng pointed to something that looked like a pile of garbage on the side. Ye Tian glanced at Yi Zheng, squatted down, and picked up the quilt and some daily necessities. He appeared calm on the surface, but his heart was bleeding. If you fail to achieve something, you'll live worse than a dog. This scene perfectly illustrates this point. This also made Ye Tian realize a truth. Without strength, you are nothing in this world. Only with strength can one earn respect, avoid being bullied, and protect one's younger sister. Strength, strength, strength. Ye Tian stared blankly, numbly carrying his belongings, holding his sister's hand with one hand, and walked outside. Brother, aren't we going to stay in this big house? Yes, brother will find a bigger house. That butler is so annoying, he actually kicked us out. Ye Tian's expression turned ferocious at this. Yi Zheng, this matter is not over. 7. Sword drawing technique. Yi Zheng, this matter is not over. Ye Tian's hatred for Yi Zheng was very intense. Standing in front of the Yi family's gate, Ye Tian hesitated. He only had less than 50 taels of silver in his hands, and he couldn't possibly last long if he went out. Where can I go then? I can manage on my own. I don't mind sleeping on the streets. But what about my sister? He didn't want his sister to suffer with him, and always wanted to give her the best. Elder brother. Yi Ling grasped Ye Tian's hand, looked up at him, and her eyes were filled with questions. Brother, why don't we go find Auntie? Ye Tian was taken aback and hesitated. He didn't want to trouble Yi Shuang, after all. His aunt had taken care of him for more than 10 years. Most importantly, he didn't want Yi Shuang to know that he had been driven away, otherwise it would cause more trouble. Just then, a beautiful figure appeared behind Ye Tian and Yi Ling. What, are you being so polite with your aunt? Ye Tian suddenly turned his head to look. Yi Shuang was looking at him with a smile. Your aunt knows. Ye Tian said in a low voice. It's nothing. My aunt has seen many things like this and was prepared for it. Yi Shuang shook her head, her gaze becoming distant as she looked ahead. Family and power are very real things. Once you lose your value, you're just thrown away like trash. Looking at his aunt, Ye Tian felt that his aunt must have had a story, otherwise she wouldn't have such profound insights. Let's go, your accommodation has already been arranged. With that, Yi Shuang turned and walked towards the side hall of the Yi residence. The place Yi Shuang found to stay was a very small room in her own home. At this moment, blankets and other bedding have already been prepared inside the house. This was originally where my aunt used to cultivate. You will deal with things here, while Linga will come with me. Ye Tian didn't object and nodded. As long as my sister doesn't suffer because of me, that's fine. You should rest. As for the bloodline. After a pause, Yi Shuang gritted her teeth and said, Auntie is already thinking of a way, and there will be an opportunity in time. Ye Tian didn't know what Yi Shuang would do, but even if she couldn't, it didn't matter. Because his bloodline has been restored, although it is only a first-order bloodline, with the undying Asura technique, he will definitely be able to stand up. Ye Tian did not tell Yi Shuang about his restored strength. He wanted to give his aunt a surprise at the clan meeting 10 days later. Brother, I'm going with Auntie now. You have to take good care of yourself. Hee, go ahead. Ye Tian chuckled. After Yi Shuang and Yi Ling left, Ye Tian tidied himself up and immediately began cultivating. Time is precious to him. He must recover his previous strength within 10 days. While Ye Tian was cultivating, at the residence of the Grand Elder. After Yi Zheng informed Ye Tian that he had recovered to the 5th level of body refinement and had been expelled from the prince's residence, the Grand Elder's face turned grim. I didn't expect this little beast to recover his strength so quickly. Master, could it be that Ye Tian's bloodline has also been restored? Yi Zheng was somewhat worried. So what if he recovers? Let's cripple him again, and this time we'll make sure he can never stand up again. The elder's face turned extremely sinister. Yi Bing's death caused a drastic change in his emotions. During today's meeting, he showed no emotion whatsoever, exuding a murderous aura that made many of the Yi family elders frown. After a long while, the Grand Elder looked at Yi Zheng and asked, How's the investigation going? Master, Yi Shuang has no connection with the Chu Yun sword sect anymore, so don't worry. That's good, so as to avoid causing trouble if Yi Shuang is killed later. What does the master intend to do? The clan assembly is in 10 days, and then... As he spoke, the elder gave a sinister laugh, and the entire room grew cold and eerie. As dawn broke, Ye Tian slowly opened his eyes, his brows furrowing slightly. 33novel.com. At this moment, he had already reached the 9th level of body refinement. What made him frown was not that the speed was too slow, but that it was too fast. He broke through to the 5th level of body refinement overnight on his first attempt, and then broke through to the 9th level on his second attempt. This speed terrified him. It should be noted that each breakthrough in the body refinement realm is extremely difficult. Thinking back to when I broke through each level, it took me a great deal of time, and that was only with the help of my bloodline. But why is my cultivation progressing so quickly now, with breakthroughs happening one after another? Moreover, this breakthrough was not a recovery, but a rebuilding of one's own cultivation. In other words, each realm is equivalent to starting cultivation anew. Although experience can speed things up, it's still far too fast. Ye Tian felt that he would be able to break through to the gathering Yuan realm tomorrow. He shook his head, knowing his own situation. He knew that every realm he had reached was the result of complete cultivation, and his foundation was well honed. Even because it was rebuilt, its power has increased considerably. Having reached the 9th level of body refinement, I possess at least 920 gene of strength. Once the power of bloodline is added, it might not be just 1,000, but could exceed 1,000. A body refinement realm cultivator possesses strength exceeding 1,000 units. Isn't that comparable to the geniuses of those major powers? A strength exceeding 1,000 indicates a solid foundation, signifying near perfection in the body refinement realm. Just like building a house, you need to create a perfect foundation so that the house won't collapse. However, I haven't actually broken the 1,000 mark yet. There's still a gap. Those geniuses genuinely broke through the 1,000th level of the 9th level of body refinement, while I only broke through the 1,000th level by relying on that strange bloodline. Therefore, I cannot be considered a genius. I am not much different from an ordinary martial artist. Shaking his head, Ye Tian took out the iron piece he had obtained earlier and examined it closely. What secret does this piece of iron, which caused that drop of blood to flow so normally, hold? Ye Tian kept stroking the metal sheet, trying to find something different about it. However, this piece of iron was just like any other piece of iron, with nothing different about it. Just then, the drop of blood in Ye Tian's dantian glowed and spread to the iron plate in Ye Tian's hand. In an instant, the iron sheet melted and turned into a beam of light that shot straight towards Ye Tian's brow. A roar came, and a voice echoed in my mind. Haha, Junior, this is the sword drawing technique. Practice it well and don't disgrace my reputation. Sword drawing technique. Ye Tian was horrified. He had heard of the sword drawing technique. It was a legendary skill. Legend has it that 10,000 years ago there was an unparalleled powerhouse who roamed the divine martial continent without any rivals, and in the end, he broke through the void and left this world. That powerful figure's signature martial art was sword drawing. Once the sword is drawn, no one can withstand it. Ye Tian never expected that he would obtain such a martial arts technique. Haha. I'm really lucky. Suddenly, Ye Tian realized that if it weren't for that drop of blood, he would never have discovered this piece of iron, and he was immediately horrified. What kind of blood is this? It's so potent. Not only does it restore my bloodline, but it also enhances my power and allows me to find treasures. It's amazing. Ye Tian stared at the drop of blood, his emotions unable to calm down for a long time. Brother, wake up. Yi Ling's voice rang out from outside the door. Ye Tian suppressed his shock and smiled. You laserbones, up so early? Oh dear, if my aunt hadn't told me to wake you, who would want to get up? 8. Background and development. Is my aunt looking for me? Ye Tian was puzzled. I wonder why my aunt wants to see me. Shaking his head, Ye Tian opened the door. Yi Ling stood prettily in front of him, still rubbing her eyes, probably not fully awake yet. You're such a laserbones. Let's see who marries you in the future. Humph, I don't want anyone to marry me. I'll just stay with my brother. She'll eventually get married after all. The brother and sister walked toward the hall as they talked. Yi Shuang was waiting in the hall with her eyes closed, her constantly moving eyelids revealing that she was not at peace. Ye Tian and Yi Ling arrived, bowed slightly, and greeted them warmly. Aunt. Yi Shuang opened her eyes and glanced at Ye Tian. A complex look appeared in her eyes, which puzzled Ye Tian. Linger, you go out first. I need to talk to your brother about something. Oh. Yi Ling said, oh, her face full of displeasure, but she sensibly left the hall. After Yi Ling left, Yi Shuang looked at Ye Tian but did not say anything. This made the atmosphere a little awkward. Scratching his head, Ye Tian looked at Yi Shuang with some embarrassment. Aunt, I ran into Wang Zhua from the Wang family yesterday. He wants to see you. What do you think? Yi Shuang frowned and scolded. Don't associate with the other two major families, or you'll get yourself into trouble. Ye Tian nodded, not saying much, but he felt a little apologetic towards Wang Zhua. Tiana, you're already 16. Have you ever thought about going out and seeing the world? Ye Tian was taken aback, not understanding why his aunt would suddenly bring up such a thing. Auntie, has something happened? Yi Shuang sighed, and finally spoke up. Do you know that you were injured by the Liu family? Why didn't your family intervene? Ye Tian remained silent, harboring his own guesses but unable to believe them. It's not that the family doesn't want to step forward, but that they dare not. Besides, there are some annoying parasites in the family, so even your uncle can't do anything about it. Ye Tian was startled. Could there be some secret here? Looking at Yi Shuang, Ye Tian wanted an explanation from her. However, Yi Shuang was reluctant to speak, and instead offered words of advice. Why don't you take your sister out and see the world? It would be best if you could leave Great Xia. Auntie, why? Ye Tian stared blankly at Yi Shuang. Blame your father. My father. Ye Tian was even more puzzled. How did this matter involve his father again? Your father was also a genius in the Yi family, awakening a fourth-tier bloodline. Although he was one level lower than you, he had good fortune and laid a perfect foundation in the body refinement realm, capable of breaking through 1,000 gene with force. Later, he joined the Cloud Sword sect and became a prominent figure, leaving others far behind. However, it was in the competition for the ranking of heroes. After listening to Yi Shuang's explanation, Ye Tian lowered his head and fell silent. No wonder the Liu family suddenly made a move, and the Yi family didn't show up even though his bloodline was shattered. It turns out that everything was because of her father's enemy, Lin Yuanshan, a powerful martial artist from the Lin family of Doxia. 18 years ago, this guy was defeated by his own father at the Fengyun ranking held in Doxia, and was even almost beheaded. Harboring resentment all along, Lin Yuanshan has been searching for his father's fate for the past 16 years since his disappearance. It was only recently that it was confirmed that her father was dead and was using the Liu family's power to deal with her. The saying, "the son pays for the father's debts," perfectly illustrates this point. 16 years have passed, and Lin Yuanshan no longer has any scruples and can act at will. If Lin Yuanshan weren't currently tied up with some things, he might have taken matters into his own hands. Even so, they still sent their subordinates to deal with Ye Tian. Originally, the Liu family's true martial realm cultivators had the intention of directly killing Ye Tian. However, thanks to the timely rescue by the Yi family, they escaped disaster. After hearing this, Ye Tian clenched his fists and a ferocious look appeared on his face. So that explains why the Liu family suddenly broke the agreement and took action. It was precisely because of Lin Yuanshan's existence that the family did not react at all. They were afraid of offending Lin Yuanshan. You know these things in your heart, and there's no need to seek revenge. Just live well. Auntie, is Lin Yuanshan very strong? Ye Tian looked at Yi Shuang, his eyes revealing a determined look. He's at the royal martial realm, and it seems he's a disciple of some powerful force. Even his son, Lin Mu, is at the spirit martial realm. He's a genius. Ye Tian gasped in shock. So powerful, he was actually at the emperor martial realm. So your aunt advises you to leave the Great Xia dynasty and live a good life with your sister. Yi Shuang sighed, feeling somewhat reluctant. Ye Tian fell silent. After a long while, he suddenly looked up at Yi Shuang with a firm gaze. Don't worry, Auntie. My father was able to defeat him back then, and I will be able to in the future too. Yi Shuang remained silent, not wanting to discourage Ye Tian. He's at the emperor martial realm. How can you, a mere bloodline-deprived fellow, compare? With a flick of her wrist, Yi Shuang took out a box and handed it to Ye Tian Dao. This is all your aunt can do for you. Go back and think it over carefully, and give me your answer when you've figured it out. Ye Tian took the box, opened it, and was immediately surprised. Inside lay a brown pill, about the size of a thumb, surrounded by concentric circles of light, which was quite eye-catching. Auntie, what's this? The blood essence pill, although it's only a first-grade pill, can still restore some of your strength. It turned out to be a first-grade elixir. Ye Tian was even more shocked. He never expected that his aunt would treat him so well, spending a lot of money to buy a first-grade pill. In this world, there is a profession called alchemist, who can concoct all sorts of strange and wonderful pills. Some elixirs can help others improve their cultivation level, restore their own vital energy, and even, incredibly, enhance the rank of their bloodline. Truly extraordinary. However, becoming an alchemist is very difficult. Without someone to guide you, you can't succeed in alchemy in your entire life if you just try to figure it out on your own. There is also a limitation. One must have strong soul power. Alchemy is hard work. Without a strong soul to support it, it's difficult to persevere. The first-grade blood essence pill is also sold in Jincheng, but it costs at least 500 taels of silver. Previously, Ye Tian only received 10 taels of silver per month because of his status as the heir apparent, meaning it would take him 5 years to save up enough to buy it. As for ordinary family disciples, they only receive a pitiful 1 or 2 taels a month, which takes even longer. Holding the box tightly in his hand, Ye Tian looked at Yi Shuang with great gratitude. "Thank you, Auntie." Yi Shuang waved her hand, somewhat helplessly. "Your aunt can only help you this far. As for the future..." Yi Shuang shook her head. She had no other choice. Soon, Ye Tian left the hall with the blood essence pill. Just then, he heard his sister's voice. "My brother isn't a good-for-nothing. He's a true man. www.x33xs.com. Haha. His bloodline has been shattered. He's still a piece of trash." Ye Tian's expression turned ugly. As Ye Tian walked out of Yi Shuang's residence, he saw Yi Ling covering her right cheek, staring wide-eyed at the 2 servants in front of her. Upon seeing the red marks between Yi Ling's fingers, Ye Tian was instantly enraged. "You dare touch my sister? You're asking for death." 9. My brother is not a waste. "You dare touch my sister? You're asking for death." Ye Tian shouted and ran over with a murderous look on his face. Ye Tian's loud shout caused Yi Ling and the 2 servants of the Yi family to turn around at the same time, their expressions quite different. Yi Ling's face showed surprise, while the 2 servants' faces showed horror. Although Ye Tian was crippled, his fearsome reputation within the Yi family remained strong. And this guy has one Achilles heel. He absolutely will not allow anyone to touch his sister, or he will fight them to the death. No one is exempt. However, the 2 servants quickly realized that Ye Tian had been crippled and his strength was reduced to almost nothing, and they immediately became arrogant. "Oh, isn't this the good-for-nothing heir of the Yi family? Oh right, he's no longer the heir, just a groveling dog. How dare he still have the nerve to stay in the Yi family?" Ye Tian stood in front of Yi Ling, looking at her covering her right cheek, forcibly suppressing the anger in his heart, and asked softly, "Does it hurt?" Upon hearing this, tears streamed down Yi Ling's face like a broken beaded curtain. Ye Tian felt even more guilty, his heart aching so much he couldn't breathe. Ye Tian turned around abruptly and glared at the 2 servants with murderous eyes. "Who did this? Step forward." The 2 servants trembled inwardly when they saw Ye Tian's anger. But relying on their master, one of them walked out with his head held high. "I made the call. What are you going to do about it?" "Good, very good." Ye Tian grinned menacingly. Without saying a word, he suddenly kicked out. The next moment, the servant, who was only at the 3rd or 4th level of the body refinement realm, tumbled to the ground. Ye Tian strode over and stepped down on his right hand. "Dare to touch my sister, I'll cripple you." "Ah!" The servant screamed like a pig being slaughtered as his arm was crushed. Ye Tian, his face contorted with rage, stomped down on the other man's other arm. In an instant, the servant's arms were crippled, with no chance of recovery. Ye Tian wasn't about to let him go. His entire body erupted with killing intent, determined to finish off his opponent. Just then, a cry of surprise rang out. "Ye Tian, don't do anything reckless. We are young Master Yi Jun's men." Ye Tian suddenly turned around and looked at the other person. Yi Jun. With a quick thought, Ye Tian understood. It seems that even with the 10-day agreement, Yi Jun doesn't want things to go smoothly for himself. Who does Yi Jun think he is? He dares to bully my sister. I'll beat him up without hesitation. After saying that, He suddenly slapped another servant. Vajra palm. Faced with Ye Tian's powerful attack, how could these two servants withstand it? They were immediately beaten to the ground by Ye Tian, groaning in pain. Ye Tian walked over, raised his right foot, and was about to step down when he suddenly looked at his younger sister. At this moment, Yi Ling was looking at Ye Tian in fear, her small body trembling. Ye Tian frowned, slowly lowered his right foot, and shouted, "Get out of here, and don't let me see you again, or I'll kill you." The two servants, feeling as if they had been granted a pardon, got up and left trembling. Ye Tian turned around, came to Yi Ling's side, and comforted her. "Does it hurt?" If it weren't for Yi Ling, Ye Tian would never have let those two servants go. Yi Ling nodded and touched her right cheek. Ye Tian removed Yi Ling's small hand. The bright red handprint felt like a sharp knife piercing his heart, making it hard for him to breathe. "It's all my fault, I made you get bullied." Ye Tian hugged Yi Ling tightly, tears welling up in his eyes. Yi Ling hugged her brother, tears streaming down her face. "Brother, they say you're a good-for-nothing, but you're not. You're Linger's great hero." It turned out that everything was because the two servants were talking about Ye Tian as a good-for-nothing, and Yi Ling couldn't stand it, so she spoke up. Ye Tian didn't say anything, but just held Yi Ling and choked up. "Don't worry with me here, I'll never let anything happen to you again." Yi Ling hugged her even tighter. For a long time, the brother and sister hugged each other tightly. Meanwhile, two servants came to Yi Jun's residence and tearfully recounted their suffering. After listening, Yi Jun smiled slightly. "You guys are really asking for death. You dared to touch that good-for-nothing sister. It's already merciful enough that I haven't killed you." It turns out that Yi Jun knew nothing about the two servants. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. In his eyes, Ye Tian only had 10 days to live. At the clan meeting, he would kill the other party. "Alright, now that you've saved your life, leave the Yi family and live a good life. The Yi family won't support a useless person. These two guys have crippled hands and can't even do simple chores like serving tea and water properly. They don't deserve to stay in the Yi family at all. Young Master Jun Wei." Yi Jun's eyes widened, and a murderous aura erupted from him. "Get out of here." With a soft shout, the two servants had no choice but to turn and leave. This is really no one's fault. The fault lies with those two servants, who acted arrogantly and domineeringly, taking advantage of Yi Jun's current status as the heir apparent. After the two servants left, Yi Zheng suddenly arrived. "Oh, isn't this the head butler? What brings you here?" Yi Jun was polite on the surface, but he didn't intend to get up at all. His current status is that of the heir apparent, far surpassing that of Yi Zheng, the steward. "I heard you have a life-or-death battle with Ye Tian in 10 days? Yi Zheng didn't pay any attention and immediately revealed his background. Yi Jun nodded. This matter has probably already spread throughout the Yi family, and may even have reached the other two major families. "Very good. The Grand Elder asked me to tell you that you must win the clan meeting and kill Ye Tian." "Don't worry, I'm confident." Yi Zhang nodded, flipped his hand and took out a box, handing it to Yi Jundao. "This is what the Grand Elder prepared for you. Serve the Grand Elder well, and he will not treat you unfairly." Yi Jun hurriedly opened the box, and when he saw the brown pill, his mouth went dry. "Blood essence pill." Yi Jun immediately stood up and looked at Yi Zhangdao solemnly. "Rest assured, Steward Zheng, Yi Jun will not let the Grand Elder down." 33novel.com. I hope so. Seeing that Yi Jun had changed his attitude, Yi Zheng nodded in satisfaction and left with his hands behind his back. Yi Jun, holding the blood essence pill, was extremely excited. With the blood essence pill, he had a chance to break through his cultivation level, so how could he not be excited? On the other side, Ye Tian stood not far from a large tree, with his eyes closed. He held a sword in his hand. This is just an ordinary sword that doesn't meet any standards, and it doesn't offer much of a boost to one's combat power. But for Ye Tian, being able to get his hands on this sword was already quite an achievement. After all, he didn't have much silver left, and after buying this sword, he was almost broke. However, in order to practice the sword drawing technique, he had no choice but to do so. In a sudden moment, Ye Tian opened his eyes and drew his long sword. A burst of energy suddenly shot out and struck the tree trunk in front of him, leaving a mark. Ye Tian shook his head slightly. The speed is too slow, and the energy is not very concentrated. It seems impossible to achieve mastery of the skill quickly. After thinking it over, Ye Tian stopped using his inner energy and simply drew and sheathed his sword, engaging in this monotonous form of cultivation. At first, Ye Tian drew his sword very slowly, sometimes even failing to insert it into the scabbard. 10. Zhuyuanjing. Yi Ling squatted under the big tree, her hands supporting her little head, watching Ye Tian cultivate with a happy smile on her face. She was happy as long as she could be with her brother, even if it was just watching him. Ye Tian, however, remained focused, constantly drawing and sheathing his sword. Time passed, and another day went by. Ye Tian's arms were sore and numb, making it difficult to even lift them up. He drew his sword not just 1,000 times that day, but nearly 10,000. However, he harbored no resentment. He knew that there were no shortcuts to cultivation in this world, only arduous practice could achieve it. Looking at Yi Ling, who was already fast asleep beside him, Ye Tian smiled. Despite the soreness in his arms, Ye Tian picked up Yi Ling and headed towards Yi Shuang's residence. Gently placing Yi Ling on the bed, he returned to his own residence. Ye Tian continued practicing his sword-drawing technique, not daring to relax for a moment. It wasn't until midnight that Ye Tian stopped practicing his sword-drawing technique and sat cross-legged on the ground, preparing for the most important breakthrough. Once he breaks through to the gathering Yuan realm, he will have the means to make a name for himself at the clan gathering a few days later, kill Yi Jun, and reclaim everything that belongs to him. As for Lin Yuanshan's threat, Ye Tianxia subconsciously forgot about it. All I could think about was getting a good vent. Make those who once looked down on us pay the price they deserve. Within his body, powerful elemental energy gathered and surged forth continuously. The primordial energy between heaven and earth, as if it were a tangible substance, arrived above his head. This is the benefit of advanced techniques. They can gather a large amount of vital energy for unforeseen needs. As time passed, the endless primordial energy in Ye Tian's dantian was continuously compressed, and finally a drop of water fell to the bottom of his dantian. Ye Tian shuddered, a powerful aura emanating from him, causing his clothes to billow. An aura that did not belong to the body refinement realm swept over Ye Tian, making him appear incredibly powerful. Zhuyuan realm. That's right. The appearance of that drop of Yuan energy means that Ye Tian's cultivation has broken through to the gathering Yuan realm. However, it has only just broken through and is not yet stable. Ye Tian continued cultivating until 9 drops of Yuan power appeared in his dantian before he stopped and opened his eyes. After experiencing his own level of mastery, Ye Tian burst into laughter. Haha! I've finally reached the early stage of the gathering Yuan realm. Thinking back on the past 2 weeks, I've been worrying about the future and feeling depressed. I have also experienced the coldness and warmth of human relationships and seen through many things. But that moment has passed. All that remains is the longing for the future and the conviction that I can continue on this path. Clan gathering. In the darkness, Ye Tian's eyes shone brightly, filled with anticipation. The next day, Ye Tian, who had broken through to the gathering Yuan realm, was in an exceptionally good mood, and even when practicing the sword-drawing technique, he became very energetic. Ye Tian tirelessly drew and sheathed his sword, even enjoying these moments. Time flies, and 7 days pass in the blink of an eye. Under that same big tree, Ye Tian kept his eyes closed. The long sword in his hand was trembling incessantly, with powerful elemental energy gathering within it. In a sudden instant, Ye Tian drew his long sword. Sing! The sound of swords rang out. The next moment, the tree in front of them was sliced in two by a sword light imbued with Yuan energy, crashing to the ground and kicking up dust and fluttering leaves. The sword-drawing technique has been successfully mastered. Of course, this is just the beginning, and there is still much room for improvement. Sword-drawing techniques have no rank, everything depends on the user. The amount of power one can unleash depends on the speed at which they draw their sword and their own level of skill. x33xs.com. For example, Ye Tian's sword-drawing technique is at most comparable to a high-grade yellow rank martial art. There was no other way. The amount of yuan energy was limited, and the speed at which the sword could be drawn wasn't that fast. The pinnacle of sword-drawing technique is when you have already drawn and sheathed your sword before your opponent can even react. Ye Tian is not capable of doing that yet. Even so, the sword-drawing technique is still a trump card, much more powerful than the Vajra palm. Sheathing his long sword, Ye Tian gazed ahead, lost in thought. Tomorrow is the clan assembly. I wonder if anything unexpected will happen. Lin Yuan shone. He shook his head. There was no point in thinking about these things now. He should think about how to deal with the Grand Elder. 10 days have passed and the Grand Elder hasn't caused me any trouble, so he must be planning to make trouble at the clan meeting. After a long while, Ye Tian put his mind at ease and headed towards his residence. The Ye family home has been very lively these past few days, decorated with lanterns and colorful streamers, just like celebrating the new year. Indeed, for the Ye family, the clan gathering is almost like the new year. At that time, all members of the Ye family will be present to pay tribute to the Ye family ancestors. They will also hold a competition among the clan's disciples, and the winner will receive a reward. Ye Tian once won first place and obtained a body tempering pill, which allowed him to break through the body refinement realm faster and advance to the gathering Yuan realm. It remains to be seen what kind of reward the Ye family will offer to motivate the younger generation this time. When the Ye family holds a clan gathering, the city lord of Jincheng and the other 2 major families will also attend to observe the ceremony. Of course, it's okay if you don't come. No one will blame you. However, this is a grand event to probe the strength of rival families, and the 2 families have no choice but to attend, even if they don't want to. As Ye Tian walked through the Ye residence, many servants kept their distance from him. Because news of his life-or-death battle with Ye Jun had already spread, no one wanted to get close to Ye Tian under these circumstances, lest it bring trouble upon themselves. After all, Ye Jun is now the heir of the Ye family, holding a high position and wielding great power. Dealing with them would be as simple as saying a word. Ye Tian himself didn't care, but looking at the huge Ye family, he couldn't find any sense of belonging. Perhaps I'm only staying here because of my sister and aunt. As for that uncle, he was like someone who was dispensable to him. I have rarely seen myself in the past 16 years. Especially recently, when I was in trouble, they didn't even ask me about it. Ye Tian had seen through the fickleness of human relationships in just under a month. Ye Tian, the clan assembly is tomorrow, are you ready? Just then, a voice came. Ye Tian turned around and saw Ye Jun standing in the distance, staring at him with murderous intent in his eyes. Don't worry, it won't take 3 moves to kill you. Ye Tian looked at Ye Jun without any fear. Upon hearing Ye Tian's words, Ye Jun burst into laughter. That's hilarious. You, a piece of trash like you, dare to say you can kill me in 3 moves? I think you're still half asleep. We'll see when the time comes. Ye Tian was too lazy to waste any more words and turned to leave. Ye Jun frowned slightly as he watched Ye Tian's retreating figure. Could this guy really be confident? But his brows quickly relaxed. Thanks to the help of the Grand Elder, he has broken through and is no longer the Ye Jun he once was. He is now much more confident. Looking at the younger generation of the Ye family, there really isn't anyone who can rival him. Tomorrow, just tomorrow, will be the day I become famous in Jincheng. Even at night, the Ye family's house remained brightly lit. This is for tomorrow's clan meeting. We must prepare around the clock and not allow any problems to arise. Inside Ye Tian's room, he wasn't cultivating. He was adjusting his state to prepare for tomorrow. The strategy and the trump card are all ready. We're just waiting for tomorrow. Time passed, and dawn finally broke. 11. The clan meeting begins. The Ye residence was unusually lively today. Early in the morning, several elders of the Ye family stood in front of the Ye residence to welcome the guests. The city lord has arrived. In the distance, a man dressed in blue strode over, a smile on his face, exuding an air of authority without anger. He was Lu Xiong, the city lord of Jincheng, and also a martial artist in the late stage of the spirit martial realm. Upon seeing Lu Xiong, all the martial artists along the way bowed and greeted him with obsequious expressions. Lu Xiong nodded repeatedly, appearing approachable. Greetings, City Lord. Thank you for attending my Ye family's clan gathering. The second elder stood before the gate of the Ye residence and bowed with clasped hands. Haha. Second elder, you are too kind. The Ye family is a family in Jincheng, and it is only right that I, the city lord, attend their clan gathering. The second elder was very pleased with Lu Xiong's words and smiled as he gestured with a flick of his wrist. Please come in, city lord. The clan has prepared the seat of honor and is waiting for your arrival. Haha. Then this city lord will not stand on ceremony. With that, he stepped into the Ye family home. The second elder accompanied them all the way, leaving the other elders of the Ye family to wait at the Ye family gate for the arrival of the other two major families. Not long after City Lord Lu Xiong arrived, the Lu family and the Wang family also came from two directions, led by the patriarchs of the two families. The two started mocking each other as soon as they met. Brother Lu, you've been doing well lately, haven't you? You must have reaped quite a few benefits. Clearly, the Lu family was well aware that they were acting on the orders of the Lin family and were trying to curry favor with them. X33XS.com. Lu Tsong, the head of the Lu family, smiled smugly and said, "Judging from your expression, Brother Wang, you seem quite envious. Should I, the head of the family, plead for you and give you a bite to eat?" From the very beginning, the two were full of hostility, ready to fight. At the appropriate time, an elder from the Ye family stepped forward to mediate. Now is not the time to act recklessly. If these two were to fight in front of the Ye family's door, it would be the Ye family that would lose face. People will say that the Ye family doesn't know any manners, actually letting their guests fight outside. Seeing that someone from the Ye family was mediating, the two clan leaders glanced at each other, then turned their heads away, refusing to look at each other. Two patriarchs, please enter my Ye family. The clan gathering is about to begin. The two family heads nodded and walked into the Ye residence with indifferent expressions. The presence of the two major families meant that everyone who was supposed to be there had arrived. No one else was present. However, Butler Ye did not leave, but waited at the door. As time passed, a middle-aged man with a cold expression arrived. Yi Zheng's eyes lit up, and he immediately stepped forward, speaking very respectfully. "My lord, you've finally arrived." The middle-aged man nodded, glanced at Yi Zheng, and looked at him with a questioning gaze. "You're Yi Min's butler?" "Yes, sir, please follow me." With that, he led the way and entered the Yi residence. Some martial artists noticed this scene and couldn't help but feel puzzled. What's Yi Zheng up to? Why is he being so respectful to a stranger? Who knows? Maybe the Yi family invited some important figure. No one cared. They were just unwilling to accept that they couldn't enter the Yi residence to watch the Yi family's clan gathering. Inside the Yi residence, a huge square was now filled with members of the Yi family, mostly the younger generation. Ye Tian and Yi Ling were also present, but no one approached them, as if avoiding a snake or scorpion. "That's Ye Tian." Lu Xiong looked at Yi Hua, the head of the Yi family, beside him. "I'm sorry to have made you laugh, Lord City Lord. It is indeed true. I can't believe 16 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and Yi Luo's son has grown up so much." Lu Xiong's face was full of smiles. "I heard that his bloodline was destroyed not long ago, and that was done by the Lu family?" Lu Xiong looked at Yi Hua, observing his reaction with a half-smile. Yi Hua remained silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. "It must be an order from over there." Lu Xiong clearly knew of the Lin family's existence, otherwise he wouldn't have said that. Yi Hua frowned, unwilling to say more, and instead spoke up. Lord of the city, the ancestral worship ceremony is about to begin. Please wait a moment. Lu Xiong nodded, not paying any attention, but looking at Ye Tian not far away. A wider smile appeared on his face. Yi Hua stepped forward and stood before all the members of the Yi family. Please, ancestors. The Grand Elder, dressed in black, shouted solemnly. The next moment, a large cauldron was carried out by 4 Yi family guards, with 3 sticks of incense burning slowly inside, and green smoke rising continuously. The so-called ancestor worship is to kneel and worship in front of this large cauldron that represents the ancestors. The process was simple, but it represented respect for the ancestors of the Yi family. Without the Yi family ancestors' pioneering efforts, the Yi family would not have become one of the 3 major families in Jincheng. At this moment, all members of the Yi family, led by Yi Hua, were bowing and kneeling 3 times. After the ceremony, the Grand Elder waved his hand, and guards carried the large cauldron to the other side. Yi Hua stood up, glanced at the younger generation of the Yi family below, and looked solemn. Fellow members of the Yi family, today is the day of our Yi family's ancestral worship, and also a test of your progress over the past year. Among the younger generation of the Yi family below, some were happy, some were smug, and so on. The test is simple, show your strength here. After a brief pause, Yi Hua continued. Not only that, anyone who is confident in their abilities can compete for the title of the #1 person in the Yi family. Success will earn them a blood essence pill and a reward of 100 taels of silver. That's quite a generous gesture. Not to mention the blood essence pill, it's a genuine first-grade pill. 100 taels of silver was equivalent to their allowance for many years. It must be said that the family has spared no expense for this clan gathering. In the crowd, Yi Jun looked up at Yi Hua, his eyes flashing with fervor, and he roared inwardly. The first place belongs to me, and no one can take it away from me. There are quite a few members of the Yi family similar to Yi Jun. After all, there are many promising young talents, not just Yi Jun. After Yi Hua finished speaking, he turned and left, leaving everything to the Grand Elder. The Elder stepped forward, glanced at Ye Tian beside him, and his eyes turned somewhat cold. Disciples of the Yi family, the next step is the strength test. Are you ready? The so-called strength test was to examine whether the strength of the many Yi family members had improved. Every member of the Yi family has a record from last year. If they stagnate or regress in the current year, their allowance will be reduced in the future. Soon, a guard from the Yi family brought out a strength measuring stone. It was tall enough to withstand a full-force attack from a true martial realm expert, and it had markings on it. The first one is Yi Jun. The Elder held the list in his hand and began to call out names. Yi Jun walked out, glanced at Ye Tian not far away, then slit his throat. Everything was understood without words. Ye Tian didn't pay attention, and just looked down at Yi Ling. Go wait for me at your aunt's. In this situation, Yi Ling is clearly unsuitable and unqualified. Because Yi Ling had not awakened her bloodline when she was 6 years old, Ye Tian did not allow her to cultivate. Every year at the clan gathering, Ye Tian would ask Yi Ling to give up. However, this would mean that Yi Ling would not receive the family's allowance and resources. However, Ye Tian didn't care. With him around, he would only give Yi Ling the best. Yi Jun, last year's test was the strength of 1 ox, come forward. 12. Force measurement. The so-called strength of 1 ox is equivalent to 2,000 catties, which is also the manifestation of the power of the gathering Yuan realm. Anyone at the early stage of the gathering Yuan realm possesses at least the strength of an ox. In other words, at this time last year, Yi Jun was only at the early stage of the gathering Yuan realm. Yi Jun arrived in front of the strength testing stone, turned around and glanced at the many younger members of the Yi family, slightly raised his chin and chuckled arrogantly. A bunch of trash, let me show you what real strength is. This move caused many of the younger members of the Yi family to frown slightly, as they were quite disgusted by Yi Jun's attitude. On the high platform where the ceremony was being held, City Lord Lu Xiong looked at Yi Jun and smiled. Patriarch Yi Hua, it seems your junior is quite confident. You flatter me, City Lord. You've only achieved a little success and you're already arrogant and complacent. Your character is flawed. All right, Patriarch Yi Hua, there's no need for such formalities in front of me, the City Lord. It's rather pointless. Yi Hua smiled slightly. Just then, the Lu family patriarch, who was standing nearby, said quietly, Patriarch Yi, isn't Ye Tian, that little fellow, the most powerful person in your clan? In an instant, the atmosphere became somewhat eerie. What does this mean? Do you really think no one else knows that Ye Tian's bloodline was shattered by a true martial realm expert from your clan? Yi Hua glanced at the other person, pursed his lips, and exhaled before speaking. Clan Chief Lu, Ye Tian is already crippled. You should know this better than anyone else. There's no need for you to be sarcastic here. This guy is just looking for trouble. Clan Chief Yi, are you interested in cooperating with my Wong family to get rid of this guy? Beside them, the Wong family patriarch spoke with a smile. He didn't want the Lu family and the Yi family to get involved. Something was off when the Lu family shattered Ye Tian's bloodline. If these two powerful families were to truly cooperate, the first target would be the Wong family. 33novel.com. Yi Hua did not agree, and it's unclear what his thoughts were. Behind the Wong family patriarch, Wang Zhuo looked at Yi Shuang not far away with a look of surprise and delight. Wang Zhuo unconsciously moved his feet, only realizing what was happening when the Wong family patriarch coughed in front of him. Don't lose your dignity. The Wong family patriarch offered this advice. At that moment, Yi Jun suddenly struck the force measuring stone in the square. A loud boom was heard, and the force measuring stone burst into light. The scale on the screen kept rising until it finally stopped at the number 8. This means that Yi Jun possesses the strength of 8 oxen. 1 ox's strength corresponds to the early stage of the Gathering Yuan realm, 5 oxen's strength to the middle stage, and 8 oxen's strength to roughly the late stage. In other words, Yi Jun broke through 2 minor realms in this year, which is quite a good speed. After all, Yi Jun only awakened a 3rd-tier bloodline, and 2 minor realms in a year is already quite good. Yi Jun smugly scanned the area, lingering particularly in Ye Tian's direction. It's as if to say, see? You're not the only genius, I am too. Ye Tian's previous record was breaking through 2 minor realms in a year, but now Yi Jun has surpassed that. Ye Tian's gaze remained calm, as if he hadn't seen anything. Next, Yi Qing. The elder nodded in satisfaction and then continued calling out names. As time passed, one Yi family descendant after another stepped forward to undergo testing. Most of them have made progress, but compared to Yi Jun, it's far less. After all, once you reach the Gathering Yuan realm, breaking through is not easy. Accumulating a single unit of force is very difficult. It requires continuous, tireless transformation over time. As for the body refinement realm, even if one breaks through 3 realms, it is still incomparable to the Gathering Yuan realm. The body refining realm involves absorbing the primordial energy of heaven and earth to temper the body. It is not particularly difficult. Finally, the Grand Elder called out Ye Tian's name. In an instant, the scene fell silent, and all the members of the Yi family looked at Ye Tian. Even the city lord Lu Xiong, Yi Hua, the Wong family patriarch, and the Lu family patriarch on the high platform all looked at Ye Tian. You little beast, others are improving while you're regressing. Let's see what you'll do now. The Grand Elder had a sinister smile on his face. This was only the first step. After Ye Tian was killed, it would be Yi Shuang's turn. The elder felt a sharp pain in his heart at the thought of his grandson's death, and he was in great distress. Ye Tian exhaled and walked out without looking to the side. He appeared calm on the surface, but inside he was somewhat excited, even nervous. That is the expectation that those who doubt themselves and look down on themselves will soon be proven wrong. And so, Ye Tian stood before the force-measuring stone. Tiana, do your best. Even if you can't do anything, you will still be a hero of the Ye family. The elder seemed to be speaking out of kindness, but in reality, he secretly hoped that Ye Tian would make a fool of himself. On the high platform, City Lord Lu Xiong, who was watching the ceremony, looked at Ye Tian Dao with some anticipation. I wonder if the little guy has stood up yet. Lord of the city, you overestimate this little fellow. With his bloodline shattered, how could he possibly have a chance to stand up again? Lu Tsong said with a sinister smile. His gaze towards Yi was still somewhat amused. Yes, you're right, but I hope a miracle can happen. After all, he is Yi Luo's son. Upon hearing this, even Lu Tsong frowned. Even after disappearing for 16 years, he was still very wary of that man. Back then, Yi Luo single-handedly suppressed the Wang and Lu families, preventing them from daring to show their faces, which was quite impressive. It's a pity that he disappeared for 16 years. Perhaps he died somewhere out there. In the Yi family camp, Yi Ling, standing next to Yi Shuang, made a megaphone shape with her small hands to cheer on her brother. Go for it, brother. Yi Shuang touched Yi Ling's hair tenderly, a bitter feeling welling up inside her. With his bloodline shattered, it took him more than a month to recover his strength. Ye Tian turned around and glanced at Yi Ling, smiled, then looked at Yi Shuang beside Yi Ling and nodded. Yi Shuang was taken aback. What did this mean? Could it be? In an instant, Yi Shuang's heart tightened. Ye Tian turned around and glanced at the Grand Elder, then said lightly, I'm sorry, Elder, but you're probably going to be disappointed. What? The Grand Elder was puzzled. However, Ye Tian had already stretched out his hand, without using the Vajra palm, and simply placed his palm on the force-testing stone. Instantly, a powerful roar resounded. The scale on the measuring stone kept rising until it finally stopped. Hiss! How is that possible? A collective gasp filled the air as many of the Yi family's younger generation stood frozen in disbelief, including the first elder. From the high platform, they couldn't see the specific details due to the distance, but they noticed that the expressions of the Grand Elder and many of the Yi family's younger generation were unusual. Could it be? A chill ran through me, and a terrifying thought surfaced in my mind. Impossible! How could you possibly exert the strength of 9 oxen? A startled cry rang out, sending a shiver down the spines of the many beings on the high platform. The strength of 9 oxen. This is a sign that you are about to break through to the perfect gathering Yuan realm. Could it be that Ye Tian has recovered? They all looked at Ye Tian in disbelief. Yay, brother is the best. Yi Ling jumped for joy. Yi Shuang stood there stunned, still not having recovered her senses. You cheated, you cheated. Yi Jun walked out with a ferocious expression, looking at Ye Tian with almost gritted teeth. Ye Tian looked at the Grand Elder, wanting to see what the Grand Elder had to say. This matter. 13. I'll let you have 3 moves. Yi Jun accused Ye Tian of cheating, and the Grand Elder didn't know what to say. Cheating? Probably not. After all, this force-measuring stone is real, and there is no possibility of that happening. But if it wasn't cheating, how do you explain Ye Tian using the strength of 9 oxen? Ye Tian was too lazy to explain. He just looked at Yi Jun and said calmly, You're accusing me of cheating simply because you don't believe I have the ability. In that case, let's begin our 10-day agreement. Yi Jun was taken aback, then grinned maliciously. Yes, whether you cheated or not, there will be a battle between us. After saying that, he looked directly at the Grand Elder and said in a cold voice, Elder, I have a 10-day agreement with Ye Tian. Please allow me to do so. The Grand Elder looked at the two of them with a hint of worry and sighed. Alas, you are all members of the Yi family. You must not kill your own kind. Ye Tian looked at the pretentious Grand Elder with a mocking expression in his eyes. All right, enough with the nonsense. If I can't defeat you in 3 moves, then I'll consider it a loss. Upon hearing this, Yi Jun felt insulted. 3 moves. Is this a sign of looking down on oneself? Good, very good. I'd like to see how you defeat me in 3 moves. The Ye family members around them were shocked when they saw that the two were about to begin a life-or-death duel. They all stepped back and cleared the area. What happened? On the high platform, City Lord Lu Xiong asked in confusion. Lord of the city, Ye Tian and Ye Jun, those two little fellows, have some kind of 10-day agreement, which means they're going to have a life-or-death duel today. The head of the Lu family, standing to the side, spoke up sarcastically. Is that so? Looking at Yi Hua, City Lord Lu Xiong's eyes held a questioning gaze. Yi Hua pursed his lips and nodded. Hey, can't Ye Jun see that Ye Tian has already surpassed him? It's time for a life-or-death duel. Hee, City Lord, this is their family matter. Let's just watch the show. City Lord Lu Xiong nodded and said nothing more. Beside her, Yi Shuang finally came to her senses. Her beautiful eyes filled with excitement as she looked at Ye Tian. Tiana, I didn't expect your strength to have recovered. Auntie, brother will definitely beat that nasty guy, right? Beside her, Yi Ling looked up at Yi Shuang, her expression full of anticipation. Linger, you must believe in your brother. Your brother can definitely defeat Ye Jun. But there was one more thing he didn't say. Ye Tian's bloodline had to be truly restored. The previous force-measuring stone was not fake. Even Yi Shuang found it hard to believe what had just happened. After all, she had personally witnessed Ye Tian's bloodline being shattered. How could it be that he would be completely restored in just 1 month? As if she had thought of something, Yi Shuang's eyes flickered slightly. I gave him a blood essence pill before. Could it be that the blood essence pill caused the other party's strength to recover? Thinking about it this way, Yi Shuang felt that she had guessed the whole story. Furthermore, it was determined that Ye Tian's bloodline had not been restored, only his strength had. This is already quite good. Although it's difficult to break through to higher realms without a bloodline and there's an upper limit, it's still better than becoming a useless person. On the square, Ye Tian and Ye Jun stood facing each other. Ye Tian, regardless of whether your strength has been restored or not, without your bloodline, you will never have a chance to surpass me in your entire life. This is Ye Jun's confidence. In response, Ye Tian simply said, Enough with the nonsense, let's begin. I'll give you 3 moves. Ye Tian's attitude and words deeply angered Ye Jun. It's obvious they looked down on Ye Jun, yet they still let him have 3 moves. However, Ye Jun quickly chuckled. Okay, you said you'd let me have 3 moves. After saying that, he immediately charged towards Ye Tian. Vajra Palm. This is a martial art that many members of the Ye family practice, and Ye Jun is no exception. At this moment, Ye Jun's Vajra Palm, unleashed at the Gathering Yuan realm, shone even brighter with golden light, and even his palm turned golden. Streams of elemental energy lingered within, providing even greater power. Ye Jun struck Ye Tian with a palm, creating a gust of wind and thunder, and even a sonic boom. With the strength of 8 oxen, plus the blessing of the Vajra Palm, it's more than 8 oxen. It definitely surpasses the strength of 10 oxen. That's 20,000 gene of force. You can imagine how powerful it must be. Ye Tian stood still, as if he were frozen in fear. But just as Ye Jun's palm was about to strike, Ye Tian suddenly turned to the side, narrowly dodging the blow. Looking at Ye Jun, Ye Tian said sarcastically, That's it. Ye Jun was stunned, and his expression became even more ferocious. Ye Tian, you're asking for death. After he finished speaking, he became extremely violent, his internal energy surged, and his bloodline exploded. Suddenly, a phantom snake appeared on his body, and the surrounding air turned cold. This is Ye Jun's bloodline, a 3rd-tier black snake. Ye Jun attacked Ye Tian again. This time, he used not only the Vajra Palm but also the snake raw vibration, which made Ye Tian feel a chill, as if he were being targeted by a venomous snake. This is the power of a bloodline warrior. Once it's applied to their attacks, their strength becomes even more terrifying. In Ye Tian's eyes, what Ye Jun was attacking was not a hand, but a black snake flicking its tongue at him. His expression turned serious, but Ye Tian still did not take the initiative to make a move. Just as Ye Jun's palm struck, he suddenly ducked and dodged the attack. However, as if he had been prepared, Ye Jun flipped his hand and slammed it down on Ye Tian. Seeing that Ye Jun's palm was about to land, Ye Tian could only raise his long sword and use the hilt to block the palm. A tremendous force surged through him, causing the long sword in his hand to vibrate and his arm to tremble slightly, feeling somewhat numb. This strike possessed at least the power of 16 oxen, meaning that the eruption of his bloodline directly doubled Ye Jun's strength. This is the power of a bloodline warrior. It is far beyond what a warrior without a bloodline can withstand. Humph, you can hold out for a while, but can you hold out forever? Seeing Ye Tian dodge his attacks one after another, Ye Jun couldn't help but sneer. Ye Tian slowly stood up and spoke calmly. 3 moves have passed. How do you plan to die? How dare you, Ye Tian, you're courting death. Ye Jun was furious. But at that moment, Ye Tian unleashed a powerful aura, like a ferocious beast that had closed its eyes, opening them as if it wanted to devour people. At this moment, Ye Jun seemed to see the Ye Tian of the past, a veteran of countless battles, invincible among the younger generation. The intense killing intent emanating from him made him tremble. Impossible. Startled, Ye Jun's expression turned ferocious. You're already crippled. I am the strongest in the Ye family. A roar came as Ye Jun charged towards Ye Tian. Ye Tian looked at Ye Jun, his gaze becoming calm, but the killing intent in his heart grew stronger and stronger. Kill. x33xs.com. With a soft shout, Ye Tian charged directly at Ye Jun. Vajra Palm. This is a martial art that Ye Tian has cultivated to its peak. It is indestructible and can even split mountains and break rocks. With each strike, a series of explosive sounds echoed. 14. It won't take 3 moves to kill you. Ye Jun didn't take Ye Tian's palm strike seriously at all. He started with the Vajra palm, and with the enhancement of his bloodline, he clashed fiercely with Ye Tian's palm. The martial artists watching this scene reacted in various ways. Although Ye Tian's Vajra palm is more refined than Ye Jun's, without the support of bloodline, he is definitely no match for him. City Lord Lu Xiong shook his head, somewhat pessimistic about Ye Tian's chances. Ye Hua nodded without showing any emotion. He sighed inwardly. Ye Tian was his nephew. Although he hadn't been involved in certain matters, the kinship between them still existed. He didn't want to see Ye Tian like this, but he had no choice. On the other side, the first elder glanced at Ye Shuang, his gaze somewhat cold. Ye Shuang, after Ye Tian is killed, it will be your turn next. Ever since the failed attempt to capture Ye Tian, the Grand Elder had been waiting for this day to avenge his grandson. If they force their way in, not only will they fail to kill Ye Shuang, but they might also put themselves in danger. Only today, with sufficient power by my side, can I kill Ye Shuang and avenge my great grudge. Ye Tian is finished. He could hold out for a while by hiding, but once he goes head-to-head with Ye Jun, he is no match for him. How did you know? Isn't this obvious? Ye Jun has blood, but Ye Tian doesn't. Can't you even understand such a simple principle? On the side, the Ye family members seem to have seen the outcome and expressed their opinions. But at that moment, Ye Tian and Ye Jun's palms collided, and Ye Jun screamed in pain. And a cracking sound came from his palm, his entire arm bulging irregularly. What? The many martial artists in the arena watched this scene in disbelief. Despite having no bloodline, Ye Tian managed to break Ye Jun's arm in a head-on clash. Ye Tian showed no mercy, and as Ye Jun cried out in pain, he struck down with his palm again. This palm strike was aimed straight at Ye Jun's heart. If it landed, Ye Jun would die instantly. Bold. Seeing the unexpected happen, the Grand Elder couldn't help but shout. However, Ye Tian merely glanced at the Grand Elder and uttered a casual remark. Elder, this is a life-or-death duel. After saying that, the palm finally landed. With a thud, Ye Jun froze on the spot, coughing up blood as his heart shattered. This scene was completely unexpected by the many martial artists present. Even City Lord Lu Xiong frowned and looked at Ye Tian with surprise. Impossible. Ye Tian's bloodline is already destroyed, so how could he still defeat Ye Jun? Beside him, the Lu family patriarch was even more disbelieving, unable to believe it. Ye Hua looked at Ye Tian with suspicion and shock. Yay, brother one. Perhaps only Yi Ling in the entire arena truly believed in Ye Tian and was happy for his victory. Yi Shuang smiled and patted Yi Ling's head as she stood next to her. See. Your brother can win. Yi Ling nodded firmly. Little did they know that Yi Shuang had been very worried and suspicious of Ye Tian before. Meanwhile, Ye Tian slowly withdrew his hand. Killing you wouldn't even take 3 moves. She glanced at Ye Jun, her gaze calm. The reason why he was stronger than Ye Jun without using his bloodline was simply because he cultivated the Asura body after breaking through the gathering Yuan realm. The Asura body is a body-refining technique. Ye Tian had only just begun cultivating, yet he already possessed the strength of 9 oxen at the gathering Yuan realm. Previously, Ye Tian had only used his physical strength for the test and had not used his Yuan power at all. Once he adds Yuanli, vital energy, his power will be even greater, exceeding the strength of 20 oxen. The limit of the gathering Yuan realm is said to be the strength of 36 oxen, which no one can break. Ye Tian is currently in the mid-stage of the gathering Yuan realm and has the potential to challenge the limits of the gathering Yuan realm. This is why he killed Ye Jun in just 2 moves when they fought. The elder looked at Ye Tian with a very cold gaze. Ye Tian, do you know your crime? Ye Tian knew in his heart that the Grand Elder would cause trouble, but he didn't care. Instead, he smiled and spoke. May I ask, Elder, what crime have I committed? The Yi family has a rule that forbids killing members of the same clan. Your killing of Ye Jun is a violation of the law. After saying that, he shouted loudly. Enforcement team, cripple Ye Tian's abilities and expel him from the Yi family. The next moment, the Yi family's enforcement team arrived from the side, each of them a martial artist at the true martial realm. Wait! Ye Tian obviously wouldn't let the enforcement team cripple his strength and expel him from the Yi family so easily. Don't even think about making excuses. The elder looked at Ye Tian, his eyes revealing a sinister glint. Elder, may I ask if Ye Jun and I made a pact to fight to the death? The Grand Elder did not speak, but frowned as he looked at Ye Tian. My relationship with Ye Jun was mutually agreed upon, so it has nothing to do with my family. This is a personal feud between us. These words sparked a flurry of discussion among the Yi family members present. The Grand Elder went too far. This is a personal grudge. Yes, the story between the two of them has spread throughout Jincheng. Everyone knows about it. On the high platform, City Lord Lu Xiong smiled slightly upon seeing this scene. Clan Chief Ye Hua, there's no need to bring other people's personal grudges into the open. After saying that, he clasped his hands slightly in a fist and smiled. Congratulations, Clan Chief Ye Hua. Ye Tian has such combat power at the mid-stage of the gathering Yuan realm. It seems that his bloodline has also been restored. This is truly a cause for celebration. Ye Hua gave an awkward smile, looked at the Grand Elder, and said loudly, "All right, let's drop this matter." Seeing that the clan leader had spoken, Ye Tian felt relieved. The Grand Elder nodded and stopped pursuing Ye Tian, because he knew in his heart that Ye Tian would not live past today. All right, let's continue the competition. If no one challenges Ye Tian, he will be the winner of this clan gathering. Ye Hua stood up and looked around. He wanted to end the clan gathering as soon as possible because he had a bad feeling about it. After Ye Hua finished speaking, none of the Yi family members spoke for a long time. Seeing this, Ye Hua immediately spoke up. All right, Ye Tian is the winner of this clan competition. The reward will be given to you after the clan competition. After giving Ye Tian a deep look, Ye Hua spoke again. Furthermore, your status as heir has been restored. I hope you can serve the family well and not disgrace the family's cultivation. Ye Tian curled his lip in response, not caring at all. In just half a month, he had seen through a lot and realized that without strength, he was nothing. The identity of the heir apparent originally belonged to him. This was simply a matter of reclaiming what was rightfully his. However, he didn't say much and stood quietly in place. Just as Yi Hua was about to announce the end of the clan meeting, a figure suddenly stepped out. Yi Long, is there something you want to say? Yi Long is the leader of the inner courtyard guards of the Yi family. Your Excellency, I have something to report. What is it? Yi Hua frowned slightly. Yi Long glanced at the Grand Elder, and the two nodded to each other without making a sound. Only then did Yi Long speak. 33novel.com. Clan leader, it's about Elder Yi Shuang killing young Master Bing. What? 15. I killed him. Yi Long was known for his outrageous remarks, uttering words that shocked everyone. At that moment, the Grand Elder staggered back 3 steps, feeling dizzy and disoriented. Binger, my grandson, how could you leave like this? How can your grandfather live on? The elder looked heartbroken, clutching his chest, almost spitting out blood. Then he looked at Yi Shuang, his expression full of ferocity. Yi Shuang, I merely stripped Ye Tian of his title as heir, yet you killed my grandson in retaliation. Do you have no conscience at all? Yi Shuang pursed her lips, offering no rebuttal whatsoever. She realized that the Grand Elder was targeting her, and that any explanation would be useless. Yi Hua frowned and looked at Yi Shuang, his expression full of disbelief. Haha. Interesting. I never expected so many instances of fratricide to occur within the Yi family. It's truly an eye-opener. Beside him, the Liu family patriarch chuckled sarcastically. City Lord Liu Xiong frowned, unwilling to believe it. On the other side, Wang Zhuo frowned, just as he was about to speak up for Yi Shuang, when the Wang family patriarch shouted, "This is none of your business. Stand still." Wang Zhuo remained silent, his face filled with worry. Elder Yi Shuang actually killed Yi Bing. How is that possible? The Yi family members stared wide-eyed, unable to believe it. In their minds, Elder Yi Shuang usually didn't care about anything and took everything lightly, so there was no reason for her to kill Yi Bing. Guards, arrest Yi Shuang. The Grand Elder immediately gave the order, his cold eyes fixed on Yi Shuang with obvious satisfaction. Although the Yi family's enforcement team dared not take action, they had no choice but to do so under the stern gaze of the First Elder. But before taking action, he glanced at the clan leader Yi Hua on the high platform. Seeing that the other party frowned but did not object, he strode towards Yi Shuang. Yi Shuang stood still, offering no resistance, as if she had given up. But just then, Ye Tian stepped out. Wait a minute. You little beast. What else do you want to say? The elder glared at Ye Tian, wishing he could slap the little brat to death. Elder, you must be mistaken, your grandson. After a pause, Ye Tian smiled and said, Your grandson. I killed him. These words caused an uproar in the audience. Ye Tian actually stepped out at this moment and said such shocking words. Yi Bing died at his hands. It had nothing to do with Yi Shuang. The Grand Elder looked at Ye Tian with intense gaze, as if confirming something. Elder, do you know why I killed him? Before the Grand Elder could reply, Ye Tian shouted. Because he deserves to die, for actually trying to take advantage of my sister. Killing him would be too lenient. The Grand Elder looked at Ye Tian without speaking for a long time. Do you know what you're saying? The Grand Elder's expression was very calm. This was the calm before the storm, and what followed was thunderous fury. Of course, one person does the deed and one person takes the blame. Yi Bing was killed by me, and his bones were crushed and his ashes were scattered. Ye Tian spoke slowly and deliberately, his expression remaining calm. Ah. Ye Tian, you dare to kill young Master Bing. This old servant will kill you. Just then, Yi Zheng suddenly attacked Ye Tian. The scene unfolded so suddenly that no one present could react. However, Ye Tian was on guard the whole time, and when he saw Yi Zheng suddenly make a move, his expression turned ferocious. You bastard! You think you can kill me? After saying that, he unleashed his Vajra palm, directly colliding with Yi Zheng. A powerful force surged forth, and Yi Zheng coughed up blood on the spot. Before Yi Zheng could react, Ye Tian struck down again, aiming straight for the other's head. No! Yi Zheng roared in disbelief. However, Ye Tian showed no mercy and struck down with a palm. With a soft thud, a force of 20 newtons struck Yi Zheng's head, and his fate was predictable. He died on the spot. Waste. It wasn't until Yi Zheng died that the martial artists present came to their senses and looked at Ye Tian in shock. This little guy is really decisive. X33xs.com. Lord Lu Xiong secretly praised him in his heart. They didn't think there was anything wrong with what Ye Tian did. They just thought Ye Tian was decisive and ruthless. After killing Yi Zheng, Ye Tian looked at the Grand Elder with a calm expression. Elder, do you want revenge? The Grand Elder remained calm throughout. Only after Ye Tian spoke did the Grand Elder chuckle. Do you know the consequences of angering me? Ye Tian didn't speak, but slowly placed his right hand on the hilt of his sword, ready to strike at any moment. Just then, Yi Shuang took a step forward and stood in front of Ye Tian. Elder Tianer has already said that you should know best why Yi Bing died. Yi Shuang, it seems you're still not giving up, daring to interfere. Yi Shuang did not speak, but a powerful surge of yuan energy rose from her body. Just as the two sides were about to make their move, a soft shout rang out. That's enough. Yi Hua stared at them with a gloomy expression. Aren't you ashamed enough? Get back here, all of you. As soon as he finished speaking, the Grand Elder did not move, but stared at Ye Tian behind Yi Shuang with murderous intent. Elder, do you know what you're doing? Yi Hua's expression grew increasingly grim. Ha ha. The Elder suddenly burst into laughter. Yi Hua, my grandson is dead, and you still say such things. Remember this, you forced me to do this. Yi Hua frowned, not understanding what the Grand Elder meant. Just then, the Grand Elder looked in a certain direction and immediately spoke. Sir, do you still stand by what you said before? Everyone looked over at the sound and saw a middle-aged man watching the scene with a smile on his lips. Hearing the Elder's words, he paused slightly, then slowly nodded. Certainly. Good. After Yi Zheng finished speaking, he shouted loudly. The Yi family is immoral, and today I, the Elder, will cleanse the house on behalf of our ancestors. As soon as the words were spoken, footsteps approached, and guards from the Yi family arrived, surrounding the entire square. Yi Hua, Yi Shuang, will you commit suicide or will this Elder do it himself? The Elder stood with his hands behind his back, looking confident and in control. Yi Min, you're courting death. Yi Hua's face grew even more gloomy. Haha. It seems you're still not giving up. In that case, let's make our move. As soon as she finished speaking, the Yi family warriors around her attacked Yi Shuang. Just as Yi Hua was about to make a move, a dagger suddenly stabbed him in the lower back. Turning his head, he saw the second Elder smiling at him. Chieftain, I'm sorry. You. Yi Hua stared wide-eyed, incredulous. What happened to the Yi family while he was in seclusion? Why does it seem like the first Elder is the patriarch? Die. The second Elder unleashed the aura of the early stage of the spirit martial realm and once again attacked Yi Hua with a dagger. Roll. Yi Hua shouted and slammed out a palm strike. Vajra palm. The same Vajra palm technique, but in Yi Hua's hands, it is even more powerful. The second Elder's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly retreated. But at that moment, several Elders from the Yi family arrived and joined forces to deal with Yi Hua. On the other side, the Grand Elder looked at Ye Tian with murderous intent. You little bastard, no one can protect you today. Die. 16. Shocking the audience. You little bastard, no one can protect you today. Die. As the Elder spoke, he directly struck Ye Tian with his palm. This palm strike contained powerful elemental energy. Upon reaching the spirit martial realm, a martial artist's internal energy is already quite abundant. It can also transform into illusory wings, allowing one to roam freely in the void. The Grand Elder's palm strike was immense, illuminating the void with gold. Faced with such a powerful palm strike, Ye Tian's heart trembled, and he felt a sense of horror. Just as the palm strike was about to land, a pair of wings suddenly appeared on Yi Shuang's back. With a slight flap, she arrived above Ye Tian's head. 33novel.com. If you want to mess with Tiana, you'll have to ask me first. Yi Shuang shouted, and a long sword appeared in her hand, which she thrust out fiercely. 9 Swords Thunderclap. After Yi Shuang thrust out her sword, it split into 9 illusory long swords, heading straight for the Grand Elder's Yuan power palm. With a soft poof, the Yuan power hand that the Grand Elder had placed down was pierced and dissipated into endless Yuan power. The 9 thunder swords of the Izumo sword sect. The first elder's expression turned serious, and he frowned slightly as he looked at Yi Shuang. On the viewing platform, City Lord Lu Xiong looked at Yi Shuang and said with some admiration, "As expected of the swordsmanship of the Izumo sword sect, it is truly impressive." Yi Shuang was originally a disciple of the Chuyun sword sect, so it's reasonable that she knows such sword skills. The Wang family patriarch nodded. Yi Shuang once joined the Chuyun sword sect, but left the sect and returned to the Yi family due to some events. However, it cannot be denied that Yi Shuang, who joined the Chuyun sword sect, is still very strong. Even though his cultivation level is not as high as the Grand Elders, he is at least not at a disadvantage thanks to the 9 Swords Thunderclap. The Grand Elder's back was adorned with wings of Yuan power, and the oppressive aura of the late-stage spirit martial realm permeated all directions, like a whirlwind sweeping away clouds. Below, Ye Tian looked up at the void with envy in his eyes. This is the spirit martial realm, where one has broken free from the shackles of the earth and stands tall in the void. However, Ye Tian didn't remain envious for long before he came to his senses and his expression became serious. He was surrounded by the Grand Elder's men, all of whom were staring at him menacingly. "Leave Yi Shuang to me, and Li Xian to you." The Grand Elder looked at Yi Shuang with a solemn expression. Although Yi Shuang is only at the early stage of the spirit martial realm, he possesses the sword technique 9 Swords Thunderclap, which is beyond the capabilities of the martial artists under his command. Since he had to do it himself, Ye Tian had no choice but to hand it over to his subordinates. After receiving the Grand Elder's order, all the members of the Yi family, from the gathering Yuan realm to the true martial realm, walked towards Ye Tian. Ye Tian pursed his lips, a murderous intent erupting from his heart, his expression gradually turning ferocious. "Kill!" With a soft shout, Ye Tian took the initiative to attack the surrounding Yuan gathering realm cultivators, as well as some true martial realm cultivators. At this point, there is no turning back. The only option is to kill. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of a mid-stage gathering Yuan realm cultivator, unleashing the Vajra palm and slamming down with a powerful blow. With a crack, the shoulder of the mid-stage gathering Yuan realm martial artist broke off, and his entire arm hung limply. Ye Tian showed no mercy, unleashing a burst of power equivalent to 20 oxen, and struck the opponent's head with a palm. The next moment, the opponent didn't even have time to scream before his head turned into a bloody mist. Wiping the blood off his hands, Ye Tian stood there, surveying his surroundings. "Come on, what are you all standing there for? Have you forgotten your master's orders?" "Ye Tian, don't be so arrogant." A Yi family guard at the true martial realm looked at Ye Tian with fury. "Haha. I'm just arrogant, so what? You want to mess with me? Go ahead and kill me." As Ye Tian spoke, a powerful aura erupted from his body, mixed with killing intent that permeated the surrounding area. To be honest, even though the people present were guards from the Yi family, none of them had experienced as many battles as Ye Tian. Ye Tian is someone who truly fought his way up from the battlefield. Ye Tian's fearsome reputation was formidable in the struggle for the mines among the 3 major families, and the scions of the other 2 families dared not provoke him. "Kill." Ye Tian's arrogance ignited the anger of many martial artists, who swarmed towards him to attack. Ye Tian showed no fear. Instead, He laughed heartily and charged forward. Even though there were true martial realm cultivators among them, he was not afraid at all. Combat is not only about skill level, but also experience and momentum. Ye Tian was now filled with overwhelming momentum and fighting spirit. The strength of 20 oxen allowed him to unleash terrifying power. A guard in the late stage of the gathering Yuan realm arrived, but before he could even make a move, Ye Tian slapped him away with a palm strike, breaking his bones and tendons. Just as Ye Tian turned around, a guard at the early stage of the true martial realm arrived. His face contorted with rage, and unleashed a thunder fist. Ye Tian showed no fear. He raised his Vajra palm and subconsciously activated his bloodline. Black light permeated his body, and his power surged. Fists and palms collided, and a scream of agony rang out. The guard, who was at the early stage of the true martial realm, had a broken arm, with the bone fragments clearly visible. This scene completely stunned the onlookers on the platform. How is this possible? A mere mid-stage gathering Yuan realm cultivator actually broke the arm bone of a true martial realm cultivator with a single palm strike. Even the city lord Lu Xiong stared wide-eyed at Ye Tian in disbelief. Ye Tian, not one to back down, suddenly grabbed the other's arm, pulled hard, and punched out, aiming straight for the other's chest. An unparalleled force erupted, tearing a large hole in the opponent's chest, clearly revealing his internal organs, and causing blood to gush out. Die! Ye Tian grinned menacingly and kicked out. The guard, who was at the early stage of the true martial realm, fell to the ground like a broken sack. After twitching a couple of times, he was lifeless. The killing of a true martial realm martial artist made Ye Tian's aura even more terrifying. His bloodshot eyes scanned the surroundings, putting great pressure on the guards around him. He is the devil. Ye Tian's appearance at this moment was terrifying. He was covered in blood, and his bloodshot eyes made him look like a demon descending upon the world. With a step forward, Ye Tian grinned menacingly. What? Are you all scared? The guards around him took a step back, swallowing hard, and looked at Ye Tian with some fear. In a short period of time, Ye Tian killed many people in succession, including those at the true martial realm. A bunch of spineless bastards. Ye Tian said dismissively, then looked up at the void. At this moment, in the void, Yi Shuang and the Grand Elder engaged in a fierce battle. Yi Shuang's 9 swords thunderclap was incredibly powerful. Each strike was like all 9 swords being unleashed simultaneously, forcing the Grand Elder into a frantic struggle. This is the difference between a sect and a noble family. Even if the Grand Elder holds a high position and great power, in terms of martial arts skills and techniques, he is completely inferior to Yi Shuang, who has joined the Chuyuan sword sect. The Elder's old face was very gloomy. He never expected that Yi Shuang would have such strength. It seems that Yi Shuang has been hiding her true strength all along. The opponent's miscalculation was quite fatal, causing the Grand Elder to suffer repeated defeats and become unable to hold on alone. Meanwhile, Yi Hua was fighting alone against 5 spirit martial realm experts, including the 2nd and 3rd elders of the Yi family. Because of a back injury that hindered his movements, even at the peak of the spirit martial realm, he was unable to suppress the rebellion. The situation remained deadlocked, and Ye Tian's guards dared not make a move. Just then, a figure walked towards Ye Tian, his face filled with murderous intent. You little bastard, you're recovering very quickly. It's you. 17. Protect my sister. Looking at the newcomer, Ye Tian's face was filled with hatred. It was him, who destroyed his own bloodline and is the culprit behind the current situation. Lu Yu. Ye Tian almost gritted his teeth as he uttered a name. Indeed, the one who arrived was Lu Yu from the Lu family, a martial artist in the late stage of the true martial realm. It was the same guy who destroyed Ye Tian's bloodline with a single palm strike, leading to Ye Tian's current predicament. Although Ye Tian benefited from the misfortune and became even stronger, he still had to avenge this grudge. Lu Yu, Ye Tian will kill you. Ye Tian's expression was ferocious, and his gaze towards Lu Yu was full of resentment. Young Master Yi, do you have that ability? Lu Yu looked at the other person with a big smile. Humph, stop talking nonsense and die. After saying that, Ye Tian charged straight at Lu Yu. When the Vajra palm is unleashed, the power of 20 oxen is incredibly strong, and golden light permeates the void. Lu Yu smiled disdainfully at Ye Tian's Vajra palm. He slowly extended a fist, which was filled with powerful yuan energy and resonated with a lion's roar. In an instant, Lu Yu's punch transformed into a giant lion's head, roaring as it hurtled towards Ye Tian. This is the true martial realm, where the bloodline can leave the body and unleash powerful combat strength. Ye Tian's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly withdrew his palm to dodge. With a sonic boom, the huge lion's head slowly dissipated. Hee. Your strength has improved quite a bit. You can actually dodge now. Lu Yu grinned maliciously at Ye Tian. Ye Tian's expression was solemn. It seems that relying solely on the Vajra palm technique won't suffice. We must use our trump card. After thinking it over, Ye Tian placed his right hand on the sword hilt, and the yuan energy within his body surged and continuously gathered inside the scabbard. Not only that, but even his spirit and energy were concentrated, causing the long sword in his hand to vibrate continuously and even emit a sword cry. Humph, you little bastard. What other tricks do you have up your sleeve? Lu Yu walked towards Ye Tian with a sinister smile. With each step he took, a powerful aura swept over him, and visible air currents appeared. Behind him, a golden lion even appeared, staring fiercely at Ye Tian. Ye Tian remained silent, waiting for the sword-drawing technique to fully accumulate power. At the same time, the Lu family also made their move, attacking the Ye family's warriors. The Lu family patriarch let out a sinister laugh and charged at the patriarch, Ye Hua. Lu Tsong, what are you trying to do? Ye Hua was shocked and looked at Lu Tsong in disbelief. Ye Hua, the Grand Elder has reached a cooperation agreement with my Ye family. From now on, the Lu and Ye families will be one family, and you are the stumbling block in that process, so you might as well die. After saying that, Lu Tsong charged straight at Ye Hua. Facing Lu Tsong, Ye Hua dared not relax at all, and his expression remained solemn. Moreover, with other elders of the Ye family present, they dared not be careless. One wrong move and he could die on the spot. This dramatic change shocked both City Lord Lu Xiong and the Wang family patriarch. Unexpectedly, the Grand Elder would actually form a cooperative relationship with the Lu family. Lord of the city, aren't you going to do anything about it? Looking at City Lord Lu Xiong, the Wang family patriarch exclaimed in astonishment. This is a matter between your three families, and it is not appropriate for this City Lord to interfere. Shaking his head, City Lord Lu Xiong stated his position. The Wang family patriarch let out a sigh of relief. Take action and stop the Lu and Ye families from killing Ye Hua. He knew in his heart that once the Lu and Ye families stood together completely, his Wang family would be the next to suffer. Therefore, if the Wang family is to continue to exist, they must intervene and prevent the Lu and Ye families from killing Ye Hua. Wang Zhua had been waiting for this. Upon hearing the news, a pair of illusory yuan power wings appeared on his back, and he charged towards the elder who was fighting Yi Shuang. Yi Min, if you dare touch Yi Shuang, I'll kill you. Wang Zhua immediately unleashed a slash, the fierce blade light sweeping across the void and tearing it apart. The audacious Wang family dares to interfere? Are they courting death? The elder roared, his old face filled with rage. No sooner had he finished speaking than Wang Zhua slashed down with his sword. Faced with Wang Zhua's strike, the Grand Elder dared not underestimate it and quickly unleashed his Vajra palm, striking out fiercely. A loud bang rang out, and the Grand Elder took 3 steps back, his yuan power wings flapping continuously on his back to steady himself. Yi Shuang, don't worry, I'm here, you'll be fine. Wang Zhua looked at Yi Shuang with pity on his face. Yi Shuang pursed her lips, opened her mouth, but still couldn't say, thank you. She knew in her heart that Wang Zhua had been pursuing her all along, but she had repeatedly rejected him because of their different positions. But not today. Without the Wang family's help, she, her elder brother Yi Hua, and even Ye Tian would all die here. Therefore, Yi Shuang surprisingly nodded in agreement to Wang Zhua's help. This was something Wang Zhua had never experienced before, and he immediately became excited. Yi Shuang, you go protect Ye Tian, I'll take care of this guy. Yi Shuang nodded, and just as she was about to turn around, the first elder grinned maliciously. No one can leave. After saying that, he unleashed the Vajra palm technique, striking out with both palms at once, heading straight for the two of them. Go, leave it to me. Wang Zhua roared and cleaved Mount Hua with his broadsword, slashing down fiercely. Yi Shuang glanced at Wang Zhua, then turned and headed straight for Ye Tian's location. Seeing that Lu Yu was about to attack Ye Tian, he became anxious. Auntie, protect my sister. Leave her to me. x33xs.com. Ye Tian also sensed Yi Shuang's arrival and couldn't help but let out a soft shout. Yi Shuang was taken aback and glanced at Ye Tian, whose gaze was firm. At this moment, Ye Tian didn't even blink, his eyes fixed on Lu Yu, filled with murderous intent. Yi Shuang hesitated. After all, Lu Yu is at the true martial realm, while Ye Tian is only at the mid-stage of the gathering Yuan realm. Can he really do it? Auntie, trust me, protect my sister. Ye Tian spoke again. Seeing this, Yi Shuang gritted her teeth, flapped her wings, and arrived at Yi Ling's side in the blink of an eye. Auntie, will my brother be all right? Yi Ling, who has always been confident in her brother, couldn't help but feel a little worried at this moment. Don't worry, trust your brother. Yi Shuang touched Yi Ling's hair, her words somewhat deep. That's what I said, but deep down I'm still not very optimistic. On the other hand, with the addition of the Wang family patriarch and the Wang family's spirit martial realm experts, Yi Hua's situation improved considerably. Brother Wang, thank you for your help. If you, Yi Hua, die, it will be my Wang family's turn next. How can we stand idly by? As the Wang family patriarch spoke, he looked at Lu Tsong. Lu Tsong, we have a long history of grudges between us, so let's take this opportunity to settle them. Humph, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Kill. Lu Tsong snorted coldly and charged directly at the Wang family patriarch. Yi Hua, the rest of you are in my care. After the Wang family patriarch finished speaking, he went straight to Lu Tsong. In the blink of an eye, the two family heads, both at the peak of the spirit martial realm, were locked in combat. Yi Hua nodded, his expression turning cold. You all must die. The killing intent was even stronger, especially towards the second elder and the other spirit martial realm cultivators of the Yi family. Faced with the enraged Yi Hua, the second elder and the others were not afraid and joined forces to prepare to surround and kill Yi Hua. At the same time, Ye Tian looked at Lu Yu, who was walking towards him, and said in a low voice, Old dog, do you know how much I've resented you this past month? 18. The sword drawing technique displays its power. Old dog, do you know how much I've resented you this past month? Before Lu Yu could say anything, Ye Tian's killing intent intensified. Whenever I think of the pain you caused me, I wish I could tear you to pieces. Lu Yu stopped, a smile spreading across his face. In contrast to you, I regret that I should have aimed my palm at your head back then. He then grinned menacingly. Well, that's fine. This time you won't have a chance to make a move, he. A sinister laugh rang out, and the golden lion behind him opened its mouth. Although it was illusory, it exuded a fierce aura. The long sword in Ye Tian's hand vibrated even more violently, and his whole body trembled slightly. At one point, Ye Tian could no longer hold on and suddenly drew his sword. Sword drawing technique. He silently uttered a shout from the bottom of his heart. In an instant, a sword light appeared, mixed with violent Yuan energy, heading straight for Lu Yu. Faced with this sword light, Lu Yu trembled and felt a sense of terror. What's this? Lu Yu's eyes widened, and he exclaimed in disbelief. The sword light was extremely fast, arriving in front of Lu Yu in the blink of an eye. Lu Yu roared and threw a punch. A giant lion's head appeared, attempting to block Ye Tian's all-out sword-drawing technique. With a tearing sound, the huge lion's head was ripped apart by the sword light. Without hesitation, a sword light pierced Lu Yu's brow. x33xs.com. Lu Yu froze on the spot, his expression frozen, his eyes filled with terror. Ye Tian knelt on one knee, completely exhausted, panting heavily. The sword-drawing technique consumes one's own yuan energy, as well as essence, spirit, and energy. In other words, as long as Ye Tian uses the sword-drawing technique, he will lose his original combat power and become extremely weak. It can be said that the art of drawing the sword is a sword technique that injures the enemy 1,000 times while also injuring yourself 800 times. If the opponent doesn't die, you'll be in trouble. The scene fell silent as all the Ye family guards and disciples watched the scene unfold. How's it going? I think I just saw the sword light enter Lu Yu's body. Just then, a line of blood appeared on Lu Yu's face, and blood slowly flowed out. Then, he fell backward and died. As Lu Yu landed, gasps of astonishment filled the air. Hiss. Ye Tian. Ye Tian. He actually killed Lu Yu. An expression of disbelief appeared on the faces of many martial artists. Lu Yu is a martial artist in the late stage of the true martial realm. He is very powerful and also possesses a third-tier bloodline. But even such a powerful martial artist was killed by Ye Tian, who was only in the mid-stage of the gathering yuan realm. On the high platform, City Lord Lu Xiong, who was calmly observing his surroundings, also took a deep breath upon seeing this scene, filled with shock. This little guy is incredible. Yi Shuang was also extremely surprised to see Ye Tian kill Lu Yu. Her red lips were slightly parted and remained closed for a long time. Yay, brother one. Yi Ling cheered, wishing she could throw herself into Ye Tian's arms. Meanwhile in the void, the Grand Elder who noticed this scene, was also astonished and even forgot to defend against Wang Zhu's attack, almost getting injured. How is that possible? After blocking Wang Zhu's attack, the Grand Elder exclaimed in disbelief. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man who had been watching this scene frowned, his gaze towards Ye Tian hesitant. What was that just now? He only saw Ye Tian draw his sword and unleash a beam of sword light, tearing Lu Yu's bloodline apart as the sword light pierced his body, killing him instantly. However, he did not associate it with the lost art of sword drawing. Otherwise, it would be even more shocking. In the arena, Ye Tian, having avenged his great grudge, let out a breath and staggered to his feet, still feeling very weak. He walked towards Lu Yu step by step, finally stopping in front of him with a complicated expression. Speaking of which, I should thank you. Thank you for making me who I am today. As Ye Tian was about to leave, speaking softly, the black blood within his body suddenly stirred. What's going on? Ye Tian frowned. He sensed a thirst from that drop of blood and couldn't help but frown. After thinking for a moment, Ye Tian squatted down and placed his hands on Lu Yu's body. In an instant, the black blood within his body stirred and arrived at Ye Tian's palm. A powerful suction force emanated, and Lu Yu's bloodline, which was on the verge of disappearing, reappeared. With a roar, it was absorbed by the drop of black blood. Ye Tian was shocked and looked inward at the drop of blood inside his body in disbelief. At this moment, the drop of blood kept changing shape. It transforms into a sword one moment and a black lion the next, which is quite eerie. Ye Tian suddenly felt a jolt throughout his body. After merging with Lu Yu's bloodline, the level of his bloodline suddenly changed, becoming the second tier. Could it be? Ye Tian had a terrible guess in his heart, a guess that he couldn't believe no matter what. But the facts are right in front of me, and I have no choice but to believe them. This drop of blood can actually devour the bloodline of others and automatically advance in rank. What kind of blood is this? It's so potent. Think about it, everything I have is thanks to this drop of blood that has made me strong. Without this drop of blood, Ye Tian might not have recovered his strength yet. But now not only has his cultivation level recovered to the mid-stage of the gathering yuan realm, but his combat power is also incredibly strong, capable of killing martial artists in the mid-stage of the true martial realm. And all of this is because of this drop of blood. Ye Tian remained stunned for a long time, his heart filled with shock. Careful. Just then, a cry of surprise rang out. What? Ye Tian felt a chill run down his spine and abruptly turned his head to look. A middle-aged man appeared with nearly solidified wings of yuan energy on his back, heading straight for him. The moment it reached above his head, he slammed it down with his palm. King Martial Realm. Ye Tian had absolutely no power to resist this palm strike. Moreover, he was extremely weak at this moment, making him even less able to resist. You little bastard, I didn't expect you to have such strength, but you have no chance against me. The middle-aged man spoke with a sinister grin. Ye Tian didn't have time to say anything more, so he rolled away to the side. With a loud bang, the middle-aged man's palm struck Lu Yu's corpse. With a series of soft popping sounds, Lu Yu's corpse exploded into pieces under Wang Wujing's palm strike, spraying blood mist everywhere. Poor Lu Yu, even in death he suffers like this. He truly died without a complete corpse. Ye Tian slowly stood up, looking at the middle-aged man with a solemn expression. Who are you? Who I am. The middle-aged man was taken aback at first, then burst into laughter. It seems you know nothing about some things. Just then, Yi Shuang arrived with Yi Ling, looking at the middle-aged man with great vigilance. If I'm not mistaken, you must be from the Lin family. Not bad, you do have some sense. Ye Tian was taken aback. The Lin family. After learning about some of his father's affairs, Ye Tian realized that everything he had experienced before was orchestrated by the Lin family. Based on this guy must be the mastermind. You little bastard, your father caused our clan's elders to lose face and their due opportunities. Now that your father has disappeared, you shall pay for it with your life. 19. The mastermind revealed. Upon hearing the other party's words, Ye Tian's expression became extremely solemn. There was no explanation given. Since it is a debt left by his father, the son should bear it. He is no longer a child. He has developed his own opinions. Tiana, take Linga with you later, and Auntie will hold him off. Yi Shuang stood protectively in front of Ye Tian and Yi Ling, and said solemnly, Aunt, listen to me, take Linga with you. Yi Shuang gave a soft shout, her expression resolute and brooking no refusal. Ye Tian felt extremely aggrieved, but looking at his aunt's resolute expression, he dared not refute her. He knew his aunt was doing it for his and his sister's good, but he didn't want to lose her. Only by surviving can you take revenge. Yi Shuang's words startled Ye Tian. Your talent surpasses your aunt's. You can kill a late-stage true martial realm martial artist at the mid-stage of the gathering Yuan realm. In the future, you will definitely surpass your father. You shouldn't die here. Go. After Yi Shuang finished speaking, she flapped her wings and charged towards the middle-aged man. Humph, trying to stall me and buy me time to escape? The middle-aged man snorted coldly. Then, a powerful aura erupted from his body. Trying to escape from me? You're dreaming. King Martial Realm. Yi Shuang's heart skipped a beat, and her beautiful eyes were filled with seriousness. She was no match for a King Martial Realm expert, but for Ye Tian's sake, she had to hold him off no matter what. Tiana, hurry up. After saying that, she resolutely charged towards the middle-aged man. Since you want to die, I will grant your wish. The middle-aged man didn't care whether Ye Tian could escape or not. He planned to kill Yi Shuang first, and then Ye Tian. Where can someone at the mere gathering Yuan realm escape to in such a short time? A sea of blood surges to the heavens. With a soft shout, a thick, bloody aura erupted from the middle-aged man, and surging Yuan energy, blood-red in color, illuminated the void. Suddenly, a blood-red palm shot out, heading straight for Yi Shuang. Yi Shuang did not dodge, and unleashed the 9 swords thunderclap, heading straight for the blood-red palm. A deafening roar erupted as a blood-red palm shattered the illusory long sword and landed on Yi Shuang. Yi Shuang's delicate body trembled, she spat out a mouthful of blood, and fell from the void. Faced with Wang Wujing's palm strike, Yi Shuang had no way to deal with it and was defeated in one move. On the other side, Wang Zhuo, seeing this scene, was furious and roared, "Yi Shuang!" Then, abandoning the Grand Elder, he headed straight for Yi Shuang. Yi Shuang was injured and could not even keep her balance, falling continuously. The middle-aged man grinned maliciously and struck Yi Shuang with his palm again, clearly intending to kill her completely. But at that moment, Wang Zhuo appeared, grabbed Yi Shuang, and flapped his yuan power wings to narrowly dodge a palm strike. Looking at Yi Shuang, who was vomiting blood in his arms, Wang Zhuo said anxiously, "Are you all right?" Yi Shuang looked at Wang Zhuo with a complicated expression. Unexpectedly, it was Wang Zhuo who saved him in the end. "I, Yi Shuang, rarely ask for favors, but today I want to ask you to protect Tianer and Linger and take them away from the Yi family." Yi Shuang said weakly, "What time is it, and you're still thinking about Ye Tian?" Yi Shuang stubbornly shook her head. "That's my second brother's only bloodline. He entrusted it to me back then, and I can't let anything happen to them." Wang Zhuo felt extremely distressed, and even his breathing became rapid. After speaking, Yi Shuang immediately fell into a coma. After a long while, Wang Zhuo seemed to have made a decision in his heart. He landed in front of Ye Tian, holding Yi Shuang in his arms. "Auntie, how are you?" Ye Tian, looking anxious, came to Wang Zhuo's side. Yi Ling, who was standing next to her, also had tears streaming down her face. Wang Zhuo handed Yi Shuang to Ye Tian, his expression solemn. "Take your aunt with you. Leave him to me. M.X33XS.com." As she spoke, she turned and walked towards the middle-aged man. Ye Tian hugged his aunt and looked at Wang Zhuo's back, his tiger-like eyes filled with tears. Wiping away his tears fiercely, Ye Tian carried Yi Shuang on his back, took his sister's hand, and headed straight out of the Yi family compound. "Stop him!" The elder gave a soft shout and rushed over himself. In an instant, guards from the Yi family arrived. "Those who block my way shall die." Ye Tian's expression was ferocious, and a powerful killing intent erupted from his body. "Go, you must stop him." One of the true martial realm cultivators spoke, ordering his subordinates at the gathering Yuan realm to attack Ye Tian. Ye Tian showed no mercy, his long sword slashing out repeatedly, killing one Yi family guard after another. With each step, a member of the Yi family who had reached the gathering Yuan realm died. Later, even the Yi family's guards became afraid and dared not step forward in terror. "Ye Tian, surrender now, you can't escape." A true martial realm cultivator stepped forward, looking at Ye Tian with great vigilance. Ye Tian looked up, his expression ferocious, his body covered in blood, a truly horrifying sight. "Are you going to block my way too?" Before the other party could reply, Ye Tian attacked directly, unleashing a sword strike. The power of this sword strike was much weaker. There was nothing he could do. He hadn't fully recovered, and he had just consumed some of his yuan energy. At this moment, he didn't have much power left in his body. However, he would not give up so easily. He would fight his way out. The true martial realm cultivator looked somewhat solemn, and actually dared not resist Ye Tian's long sword. The memory of the opponent killing Lu Yu, who was in the late stage of the true martial realm, with a single sword strike was still vivid in his mind. Even now, though weakened, he was still somewhat afraid. Seeing that the other party had dodged, Ye Tian did not give chase. Instead, he carried Yi Shuang on his back and led Yi Ling away. Just then, the Grand Elder appeared and stood in front of Ye Tian. "What a bunch of useless trash, they can't even stop a little kid." After giving a reprimand, the elder looked at Ye Tian with a sinister grin. "You little beast, you killed my grandson, do you think you can escape from the Yi family?" Ye Tian looked at the Grand Elder without speaking, constantly pondering a solution. On the other side, looking at the chaotic scene, City Lord Lu Xiong sighed. How could it have turned out like this? Even he wouldn't have imagined that such a drastic change would occur in the otherwise peaceful Yi family gathering. Shaking his head, City Lord Lu Xiong didn't intend to interfere, letting the three major families fight amongst themselves. As long as things don't get chaotic in Jincheng, he'll be fine. Lord Lu Xiong glanced at Ye Tian and frowned slightly. I'm sorry, Yi Luo, I can't make a move. He whispered a few words to himself and closed his eyes. On the other side, the Grand Elder walked step by step toward Ye Tian, exuding a powerful killing intent. Ye Tian, don't worry, this elder won't let you die so easily. Suddenly he struck, his Vajra palm descending towards Ye Tian. Ye Tian's expression changed, and he suddenly stood in front of his sister, using his physical body to withstand the Grand Elder's Vajra palm. With a spit, Ye Tian spat out a mouthful of blood, knelt on the ground. His clothes burst open at the chest, and a handprint was clearly visible on his chest. He looked down, and blood fell to the ground in a continuous stream, like raindrops. Brother, how are you? Yi Ling looked at Ye Tian anxiously, her heart aching, and tears streamed down her face. Ye Tian looked up, reached out his trembling hand to stroke Yi Ling's small face, and a kind smile appeared on his face. Little sister, I'm sorry, I can't protect you anymore. No, I don't want to lose my brother, I don't want to. Yi Ling kept crying and shook her head vigorously. What a deep bond between siblings. But you will all die. The Grand Elder approached, a sinister grin on his face. Oh, really? 20. Are you interested in coming with me to the Azumo Sword Sect? Oh, really? A voice came, causing the Grand Elder's expression to change, and he turned around abruptly. Behind them, an old man with wings of Yuan energy floated silently in the void. Who are you? Looking at the other person, the Grand Elder frowned slightly. Lu Zheng, it's you. Just then, a surprised voice came from not far away. The old man, named Lu Zheng, looked up and smiled slightly when he saw the middle-aged man. Oh, isn't this Lin Yi, the Lin family's butler? It seems they know each other. Lu Zheng, what are you doing here? Lin Yi looked at Lu Zheng and frowned slightly. Lu Zheng is an outer sect elder of the Chuyun Sword Sect, a martial artist in the late stage of the King martial realm. It's nothing, I just received a message from Schwanger and came to check on things. What? The elder standing nearby was startled and said in disbelief. Wasn't Yi Shuang expelled from the Cloud Sword Sect? Why? Humph, although Schwanger has been expelled from the Chuyun Sword Sect, she is still my disciple, Lu Zheng's disciple. With a cold snort, Lu Zheng unleashed the oppressive aura of a King martial realm expert, which permeated all directions. On the high platform, City Lord Lu Xiong, who was still in a daze, hurriedly got up, and Yuan power wings appeared behind him as he headed towards this side. Lu Xiong, the City Lord of Jincheng, greets Elder Lu. Lu Zheng nodded slightly, then looked at Yi Shuang, who was behind Ye Tian, and his expression turned somewhat unpleasant. Who did it? A pair of murderous eyes swept across the surroundings, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. I did it, so what are you going to do about it? Lin Yi walked over without any fear. Fine, very well. You dare touch my disciple? Die. 33novel.com. After saying that, Lu Zheng immediately made his move. The arena was filled with sword light. It was the same 9 swords thunderclap, but in Lu Zheng's hands it was different, with boundless power. 9 long swords, seemingly materialized, appeared and sped towards the forest at incredible speed. Lin Ye's expression turned solemn as he faced Lu Zheng's 9 swords thunder. A sea of blood surges to the heavens. With a loud roar, Lin Yi unleashed a sea of blood, heading straight for Lu Zheng's 9 swords thunderclap. A violent roar came, and Lin Yi took 3 steps back in mid-air. He swallowed the mouthful of blood that was about to spit out, and his gaze toward Lu Zheng became even more solemn. Ha! Lu Zheng exclaimed in surprise, then his expression turned cold. The Lin family's bloodshed is immense. I never imagined you could cultivate to such a level. It seems you've killed quite a few people. You flatter me. Your 9 swords thunderclap is also quite good. Lin Yi took a deep breath to suppress the tremors within his body. Just not bad. As Lu Zheng spoke, an even more intense aura emanated from his body. Then take another look. What do you think of this sword strike? After saying that, he slashed out with his sword again. This sword strike was also the 9 thunderclap sword, but when it reached Lin Yi, the 9 swords suddenly merged into one, unleashing an even more terrifying sword pressure that stretched out a line in the void. It's easy to imagine how powerful this sword strike was. Faced with this sword strike, Lin Ye's expression became even more solemn. A sea of blood surged forth. With a low roar, an endless sea of blood erupted from his body, surging towards the incoming long sword like a raging wave. With a deafening roar, a violent explosion rang out, and the sea of blood was torn apart by the long sword, continuing its relentless march towards the forest. Lin Yi was startled and quickly dodged. Finally, Lu Zheng's sword landed on a mansion not far behind him. In an instant, the entire mansion exploded and turned into ruins. Such a powerful sword strike was astonishing, causing people to gasp in shock. The gazes directed at Lu Zheng were also shaken, tinged with fear. Lu Zheng, are you really going to get involved in this matter? Lin Yi, still shaken, looked at Lu Zheng and shouted, I'm going to get involved now. What are you going to do about it? Lu Zheng stood fearlessly in the void, his body radiating killing intent, as if he would strike at any moment. Lin Yi glared fiercely at Lu Zheng and immediately brought up Lin Yuanshan, who was behind him. Killing this little bastard is Elder Yuanshan's order. If you dare to interfere, aren't you afraid that Elder Yuanshan will hold you accountable? Faced with such a threat, Lu Zheng scoffed. Even if Lin Yuanshan were here, I would still take charge of this matter today, let alone if he were not. Seeing Lu Zheng's resolute attitude, Lin Yi wished he could take action and kill Lu Zheng directly. However, he knew in his heart that he was inferior to his opponent in both strength and background, and that he might be the one to die in the end if they fought. Therefore, the only option now is to retreat and look for another opportunity to kill Ye Tian. After thinking it over, Lin Yi glared fiercely at Lu Zhengdao. Lu Zheng, you wait. This matter won't end like this. After saying that, he flapped his wings and flew away from the Yi family. Grown-ups. The elder's expression changed upon seeing Lin Yi leave. Without Lin Yi, how could he possibly succeed? The Grand Elder glanced at Lu Zheng, feeling very unwilling. But deep down, there was nothing he could do, so he could only leave unwillingly. Because deep down they knew that with this martial arts master of the Cloud Sword sect present, their plan to kill Ye Tian and Yi Hua and take control of the Yi family was completely ruined. Moreover, if I don't leave, there's a good chance I'll run into more trouble. Lu Zheng did not stop Lin Yi and the Grand Elder from leaving. Deep down, he knew that if Lin Yi wanted to escape, he would have no way to stop him. They're at the King Martial Realm, after all. They're not so easy to kill. Approaching Ye Tian's side, she looked at the unconscious Yi Shuang and her eyes flickered slightly. After examining it, he nodded. Fortunately, it was just a shock, and he'll be fine after being unconscious for a while. Ye Tian nodded gratefully after hearing this. Then he looked at Lu Zheng, clasped his hands in a salute, and said, Thank you for saving me, senior. Lu Zheng raised his head and looked Ye Tian up and down. Ye Tian was puzzled by the other party's gaze and was full of doubts. You must be Ye Tian, you look just like him. Lu Zheng uttered a strange remark that startled Ye Tian. The person being referred to probably resembles their own father. By the way, I heard your bloodline was destroyed, but why do you seem stronger? He could sense the presence of Yuan energy from Ye Tian, and Ye Tian's physical body also seemed to be very powerful. Reporting to the elder, it is true that my bloodline was shattered before, but due to some fortuitous circumstances, it has been restored, although the level is a bit low. Ye Tian would definitely not reveal the existence of that drop of blood, otherwise there would be big trouble. And deep down he felt that this drop of blood was of great importance and could not be taken lightly. How much strength do you have now? Looking at Ye Tian, Lu Zheng asked with some curiosity. Replying to Senior, "It's about 20. Ye Tian told the truth. Lu Zheng was taken aback and said with some surprise, "You, at the mid-stage of the Gathering Yuan realm, already possess the strength of 20 oxen?" Ye Tian nodded. "Ha ha." Lu Zheng suddenly burst into laughter. The city lord Lu Xiong, who was standing to the side, looked at Ye Tian with some surprise. Because he knew what it meant for Ye Tian to have the strength of 20 oxen at the mid-stage of the Gathering Yuan realm. "Little one, are you interested in coming with me to the Izumo sword sect?" Lu Zheng was somewhat happy. Originally, he was just helping his disciple out of old friendship, but he never expected to discover such a promising talent as Ye Tian. He possesses the strength of 20 oxen at the mid-stage of the Gathering Yuan realm, and he may very well reach the limit of the Gathering Yuan realm in the future.